to me. Feel alright. Just dance with me all through the night. Turn it out. Close to you. I feel good. 'Cause I just know feeling of you. Give it to me, baby. Feel alright. I feel good. Just want you step with me, dance with me, hear with me, feel alright. I feel good on you, alright. To make a groove all night. Close your eyes, come to me, feel alright. Just dance with me all through the night. Turn it out.
Yark, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Close to you, I feel good. 'Cause I
Romero, how's it going?
just love you. Give it to me, baby. Feel
No, that's not the word.
alright.
Nightwalker, how's it going?
I feel good. Just walk your step with me,
It
dance
finally
with
stopped.
me, hear
Did you
with
get the
me,
weapon you
feel
needed, Romero?
I feel good on you, alright. To make a groove all night.
You got him? Nice. Oh, this is so bad. It was worth it? Good stuff. That's always good to hear. The worst part is if you spend like a shit ton of summoning materials on a character or weapon, and then you get it and you're like, this is dog shit. Ah, Nightwalker, I'm sorry, bud. But she'll come back around. She'll come back around. Whatever. She'll have a rerun in time for sure. Just grind up, save some material, save some mats. You'll get her next time. Ah, shit. Is there no pity in Withering Waves, or did you just not reach the pity? Nagato, how's it going, man? Oh, this is so bad. I grinded 50 pulls in 3 days. Jesus. But hey, that's good to know that you can grind a lot of summoning materials. That's cool if you're just willing to put the time in for it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would never put in the time that you have in the past 3 days, I'm sure, but 80's the pity. Oh, I see. Justin, how's it going, man? How you doing? Oh, this is so bad. I'm not getting today's Wordle. My device battery only supports 4 to 5 hours of grinding. Are you playing on your phone or a laptop? What are you playing on? Okay. Still don't understand how people play on mobile. Dude, I feel like I have a good... Oh, you play on mobile. I see. Dude, like, I feel like if I played Wuthering Waves or something that heavy on my phone would just explode in my hands. My device can't even handle 5 minutes. It instantly shuts down. Yeah, dude, I feel like my phone would just explode. I might have to try. I might have to after my... I'm trying to make my mom let me skip it. No worries, Nuggets. I go to your French class, man. You're good. Yeah, you're good. No worries. Alright, I'm gonna get started about getting today's Wordle. Fuck it, I'm just gonna fuck this up really quickly. What inbox? Yeah, fuck that. Alright. I was, by the way, I was thinking about this before I went to bed last night. Klein's gotta be close to getting the magician potion, right? Or like taking the magician potion rather. Because I think I estimated about 130 chapters on average between when he takes the last potion and gets the next one on average, which means he should probably get it near around the start of 300s. So like I'm only 40, 50 chapters away. That's not bad. I can hopefully do that in like 2 or 3 days. Oh, well, 3 or 4, much more accurately. Dr. Z, how's it going? How you doing today? I've been pretty good. Got a decent night's sleep, although I have a migraine, which is not great. I went to bed with it and I woke up with it, which is horrible, but it is what it is. In Empress he didn't even digest the clown yet. Yeah, but think about it. He's acting like a clown right now, right? I mean, that sounds stupid out of context, but he said the maxim that he was following as a clown was someone who hides their pain with like an obnoxious smile. Something to that effect. I'm simplifying it a bit, but he's doing that right now. He's avoiding his whole, all the feelings he's having about leaving his family, leaving his friends, all that stuff with just a big smile and like showboating around to new people, right? So I feel like he's acting as a clown so well that he should digest it pretty quickly. Yes, you're right, he hasn't yet, but I feel like he should do it pretty quickly. In Empress Borough, an opulent villa of Earl Hall, Audrey, with a white napkin covering her, watched as the dining maidservant cut a piece of bacon, laid out 2 fried eggs, spread out fruit jam on a piece of soft bread, and added sauce to some grilled mushrooms. Even with acting method, takes people 2 months usually? True. But like you said, Klein isn't exactly usual people, so, I feel like you guys are trying to gaslight me into believing it's going to take longer. I'm gonna trust my math and say 40 or 50 chapters. I'm gonna say like early 300s, somewhere like 310. I don't know. In a truly noble family, maidservants were divided into categories. Apart from personal maids, there were maids for different bedrooms, study rooms, activity rooms, guest rooms, dressing maids, shoe maids, jewelry maids, dining maids, laundry maids, kitchen maids. They were strictly assigned to their own tasks, with one task handled by one maid. No worries, Milo. You were just watching Inglourious Bastard again? Weren't you watching that yesterday's stream? By the way, let me know if the music is too loud or anything. God, I love the Lies of P OST, man. This shit is so good. All of this was a great waste of manpower for nobles. Propriety was everything. Unless there was a huge amount of debt that would never reduce their requirements in such manner. Would you mind lowering it like a little bit? Yeah, no problem. Alright, hopefully that's a little better. Maybe it's too quiet now. Let me know if that's the case, and then we can keep trying to fucking fiddle around with it. The problem with music is that, like, there's such a... Oh, shit, I said this last stream. Oh, okay. Last stream I went to bed right after I finished. Well, technically I drank a little bit and then I went to bed. I'll figure out how to put the limiter on in for OBS and then get that figured out for a future. Okay. I gotta, because I don't know what a good range for the limiter looks like. I'm gonna have to fiddle around with it, do a test stream and stuff. So I'll get a limiter put. Actually, I'm gonna set a reminder before. I'm just gonna set a reminder before I forget. Set limiter for music audio OBS. Alright, you played Liza P, right? The nameless puppet is such a hard fight. Yes. No, I have not played Lies of P, which, as I don't know, I tried playing it because I had it on my because I had the Xbox Game Pass whatever on my computer. I tried playing it and it felt so boring at the start, and then I just quit it. But I've heard it's really good. I will eventually get around to playing it. Audrey took a sip of her brownish red tea, allowing the faint scent of malt and rose slush in her mouth. At this moment, her father, a member of Parliament of the House of Lords, the powerful banker, Earl Hall, mumbled as he held the newspaper. The Aurora Order is really crazy. Aurora Order? What did they do? Audrey blinked. Baby, you don't want to know. They assassinated the Intis ambassador, Bakerland. It does them no good. Earl Hall shook his head as he flipped through the newspaper. The nameless puppet is harder than Ishin for me? Dude, I might, then in that case I might not be able to finish the game. Now, the hardest boss I've ever played and finished for me was Nameless King from Dark Souls 3. Even harder than Malenia. I don't know. I just remember Nameless King took me an eternity to finish. Perhaps they want to destroy the relationships between the kingdom and Intis and let a war spread out from the colonies. This child of noble birth had a handsome face and bright golden hair. He looked like a classical sculpture, regardless of which angle one viewed him from. No, if that was the case, then they wouldn't leave behind such obvious evidence. Moreover, recently the kingdom has had too many policies that'll be implemented and need some time to stabilize the environment. So we won't rashly start a war. What happened last night was already reported in the newspaper this morning, and the details of the events and the murders are enough to explain the thoughts of His Majesty and the Minister, Earl Hollick directed his son. Audrey listened to her father and brother discuss in a haze before realizing what happened. Mr. A succeeded. He really is from the Aurora Order. Nameless King might go. 5th try? Fuck you, Nagitsu. I just remember it took me like 20 tries to beat his dogshit dragon and then like another 50 to beat him. It was so difficult. Oh my god. Malenia was easy. Oh, you might have been really over leveled for it. That might be the case. Yeah, I know. I mean, Audrey's neither innocent and, well, I mean, she's definitely precious, but she's definitely not innocent either. So, it's good. Well, I was scrolling and he said something like, with this speed, Lord of the Mysteries manhwa take 8.5 years to finish the first volume. Oh god. The reason why I can speedrun DS3 and oh my god, I can't speedrun any of the Dark Souls or Souls-like games, man. Well, I guess Elden Ring is the only one that I can. Yeah, but her father doesn't know that. That's true. The reason why he intentionally exposed that it was the Aurora Order who did it was to prove that he was the one who completed the task and that I wasn't cheated out of my money. Arcane build. Oh, fuck you, Ramiro. Of course you beat it. Okay. In any Souls-like game, I play exclusively strength characters. I just have a big bonk stick and then I just beat everyone with that. This is too fast and efficient. I only paid my first sum yesterday afternoon, and I'm hearing the result this morning. A good result. I actually don't like Dark Souls 3. For shame. For shame, Ramiro. Audrey was astonished and delighted. It was an uncontrollable joy, but also an instinctive fear. I hate strength. That I'm mostly Dex. God. Oh my god, he's a Dex main. Get him away from here. Oh my god, no. Dexterity's too easy. You guys don't understand. Dex is always too easy, because it's light moves. You can apply like bleed on it or whatever, and then just tap, dodge back, tap, dodge back. No. Strength requires so much more skill, because like if I press the attack button, I'm locked into an animation for 7 seconds now. You gotta find the perfect timing and stuff for it. It definitely was something to be happy about, since the mission was entrusted by Mr. Fool's Blessed and had been accomplished so easily. However, the power and actions displayed by Mr. A and the Aurora Order who was backing him left Audrey subconsciously scared. Aren't you a Vagabond fan? Okay. Okay, that hardly seems like a one-to-one a comparison there. Think smart, not hard. Yeah. Listen, by that logic, you should. The fuck you mean skill? You just attack and do 7 billion. Okay. Okay, bro. Alright. Enough of this discussion. Thankfully, I talked to Glint yesterday and reached a loan agreement. As a Viscount, he should successfully raise the money without drawing attention to himself. I'll give Mr. A the remaining funds in the coming 2 days through Geo and Fours. I can't afford to show my face. I won't be attending Mr. A's gathering for the next month or two. It's good that I already have other circles. Audrey took a reserved bite of her soft bread, which was slathered with jam. Oonga Boonga strength build is my go-to. Thank you. As breakfast drew to a close, the small cakes of cream, cherries, and strawberries were served to her plate, and she suddenly felt a little smug as she calmed down. Mr. Hangman wanted to take part in the mission, but he might have only just completed his initial assignment. But it's already over. Serves him right to be at the sea. Audrey was in a good mood, and she was smiling as she savored her dessert. At Helstonborough, Gio and Forrest looked at the newspaper in front of them and made no further movements for a long time. This was done by Mr. A, wasn't it? Gio looked at her friend with a shocked and puzzled look. Perhaps, Forrest turned. I know about the Aurora Order, but I don't know if Mr. A is a member of the Aurora Order. He should be. After all, we only gave him £2,000 yesterday. I doubt anyone else would want to assassinate the ambassador, Gio said with uncertainty. Also, the Insta-Stagger. Okay, first of all, Insta-Stagger only happens if it's either an enemy with a really low stagger gauge, or if you've hit them 8 times in like a relatively short period of time. Calm down, Ramiro. Forrest was silent for a few seconds before she suddenly sighed. Whether it was Mr. A or not, we still have to give him the remaining £8,000. At the moment, no one can prove that he didn't do it. If we want to stay in the circle, we can't renege on this debt. Anyway, we're not the ones paying. We'll still get £500 for the work. With that, Gio became happy. Want to see my speed run? Want to see me? Sure. I mean, I won't be able to watch you, but I mean, yeah, that'd be awesome. Anyway, we're not the ones paying. We'll still get £500. The thing is, I always have the feeling that finding Mr. A would be dangerous. Forrest pondered and... Wait, actually, you said like 3 hours, right? We can do like a 1-to-1, but I'll get done reading in 3 hours, you get done Dark Souls 3 in 3 hours? That'd be perfect. The thing is, I have a feeling that finding Mr. A would be dangerous. Forrest pondered and said, I'll go by myself to make the last payment. It'll be better for both of us. But Gio was a little worried. If you follow me, it'll affect my escape. Forrest shook the bracelet on her wrist and said in a disdainful tone, All right then. Chris, how's it going, man? Thanks for popping by. Good morning. While the two of them were fretting about this, a new message from Mr. A came to them from a private communication channel. He told them not to look for him, but to deposit the rest of the money in separate anonymous accounts at different banks. Gio and Forrest breathed a sigh of relief in unison. I like Lies of P way more than Dark Souls 3. I haven't played enough of it to give a fair critique or anything like that. In a basement that was as wide as a temple, Mr. A, wearing a hooded black robe, was kneeling in darkness, murmuring something reverently. In front of him was a 3-meter statue of a man hanging upside down with his legs chained up, the true creator. You piece of shit. This hanged giant had a giant, unique, single vertical eye, and his arms were stretched out horizontally, forming a cross. At this moment, a man with a black robe came in and humbly reported, Mr. A, I've already sent the news. Well done, Mr. A said. The man in the black robe asked curiously, Why don't you let us investigate who commissioned this mission? There's no need. You must remember, this is a critical moment. This will cause chaos throughout the continent. Try our best to attract the attention of others and use these to welcome the return of our Lord. That's why Sekiro and Elden Ring are peak. Elden Ring, yes. Sekiro is really good. I'm not skillful enough to finish it. That's the truth. I've spent a couple of hours playing it, and then I just get stuck, and I just go, oh, fuck it, I can't be bothered. Mr. A suddenly laughed before he started having a fit of coughing. It was so serious that he fell to the ground. He coughed out blood-colored fragments, which continued squirming after falling to the ground as though they were alive. The man in the black robe immediately lowered his head, pretending as though he had seen nothing. How far did I get? Not far at all, dude. I'm trying to think. The only thing I can remember is I beat, again, this was really early on. I just remember I beat a guy on a horse. I can't remember anything. I can't remember his name or anything. I just remember it was like really early on. It was like the second or third boss or some shit. It's yeah, it wasn't much. Celestial, how's it going, man? Right, I didn't skip anything, right? Yes. Wait, hold on. After a while, Mr. A finally calmed down. He crawled forward, his mouth pressed against the floor as he licked all the blood-colored fragrance that he had coughed out back into his mouth. Oh my god. Oh, that's disgusting. 126 New Year Street, Helston Borough. The relaxed Klein didn't tail Durago Gale this time. Instead, he chose his mistress, Erica Taylor. After all, adultery needed two to clap. The pretty blonde with the intricate makeup arrived early at the Quelaw Club via a rental carriage. Klein, who carried a brief suitcase containing a portable camera and all sorts of disguises, followed her in. Are there any rooms to rest in? Wearing the club's frost badge on his chest, he asked the elegant maid responsible for receiving guests. Yes, please follow the attendant upstairs. Klein nodded slightly and followed the red-vested attendant upstairs and arrived on the second floor, just in time to see Erica enter a lounge that faced the street. Genichiro Tata. Is that the horse guy? Klein nodded slightly. He followed the red-vested attendant up the stairs and, Do you want to see the passerbys on the street or the tennis court out back? The attendant asked politely. Let's do the street, Klein casually answered. Under the arrangements of the red-vested attendant, he and Erica Taylor was separated by 2 rooms, and he could see the street outside the club. How do I take pictures later? Should I find a chance to sneak in and hide in the room, or climb out of the window and travel across the pipes? Neither of these methods would conceal the exaggerated flash, but the latter can be disguised as a vague shot from the street. That wouldn't bring suspicion of me, and I wouldn't be kicked out. But this would easily be noticed by Durago and Erica. Use a charm to put them to sleep? No, that wouldn't be convincing enough. It has to be a picture of them doing the deed. I mean, if they were sleeping in one bed without clothes, I feel like that would be plenty, but whatever. I hit. There's only one chance. I have to take it well enough. This isn't my field of expertise, and I'm not some artistic master. If it was old Neil, he'd definitely attempt to conjure up a new ritualistic magic to hide the camera's flash. Of course, the goddess might not respond to this request. As Klein considered his next move, he saw the image of Miss Bodyguard appear in a silver mirror in the room. Maybe it's just a freaky sleepover? They were just tired and the clothes mysteriously disappeared. Your Honor, have you never been working really hard at work and then you put your head down to just take a small nap because you're really tired and you're maximizing shareholder value, and then with your head down, you go to sleep for a little bit and you wake up, you're in bed with a random woman, your clothes are gone somewhere, but you didn't do anything. I just took a little cat nap. I don't know what happened. Your Honor, you know me. I wouldn't do this. Is Miss Bodyguard gonna help him with something? She was still wearing her black gothic regal dress and her matching soft hat. Her hair was a pale blonde in color with delicate features across her face. Do you have any way of hiding the flash of the camera? Klein asked casually. Well, I can't find my physical DS3 and I'm too lazy to look for it, so it looks like I'm going back. Before he could finish the sentence, he saw ripples on the surface of the silver mirror as a slightly transparent palm extended. Miss Bodyguard came out of the silver mirror like a ghost and said with a nod, yes. She lowered her body and leaned over, slowly fusing with the camera's lens. So she can enter anything that's like a mirror or like a reflective surface. This is like the... This is like, oh my god. Gontaro Dim from Witcher 3, his final boss fight, if anyone... I might be making like the most rare reference that like no one's gonna get, but Klein's mouth slightly opened as he watched this horrifying scene. Taking quite a while to recover from the shock, he picked up his portable camera and tried a test shot in his lounge. basically. Queen, good morning. How you doing this morning? Or afternoon. JoJo reference, clearly. Everything is a JoJo reference to a JoJo stan. Hold on. He picked up his portable camera and tried a test shot at his lounge. The effect was beyond his expectation. The flash was limited to the vicinity of the camera, and the resulting image was also quite good. Perhaps it should now be called a spectral camera, Klein lampooned. He took the camera, went to the window and waited patiently. Not long after, he saw Dorago Gale arrive via carriage. In the other room, Erica Taylor saw a lover and hastily left the lounge to meet him on the first floor. Klein seized the opportunity to use a tarot card to open her room, hiding carefully in the cupboard where the extra sheets and quilts were kept. The darkness around him reminded him of the previous night, of that creepy and terrifying Nimble Rider. It's gotta be Nimble right? Or is it Numble right? Am I losing it? Sorry, I don't know if you guys can... Ah, shit, you guys can't see it because it's right at the bottom. Is it Nimble right or Numble right? I think it's Nimble right. And I thought we decided the name was Marionettist. What the fuck? Rosago. Last night was filled with danger, yet today here I am catching adulterers in the act. Life sure is marvelous. While Klein was making fun of himself, he heard the door open. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't say Nimble right. It says Numble right. I put it in chat. Which is, so it, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Last time it said Marionettist. I don't know. Whatever. Huddled in the cupboard, Klein secretly activated his spirit vision and saw the two interfering auras interfering. Yeah. Erica, I brought you a present, a deep voice sounded as the door closed. As expected, he is a gentleman of the Lone Kingdom. Even in an affair, he seems a little old-fashioned. If it was a man from Intis, he would definitely be shouting, sweetheart, baby, angel, and the like. Klein couldn't help but lampoon. It should say marionettist. Yeah, it's fine. Of course, this was based on the stereotype from the newspapers, magazines, and novels. Erica said in surprise, let me guess. Face Man eye cream, face cream, or essence? Lashini's? What the heck are all of those? Klein was stunned by what he heard. It was clear that Dorago Gale wasn't able to react in time either. It took him about 8 seconds before he said, no. Stockings. This is such a... Dude, you know what this reminds me of? Oh my god. This is like if you're ever trying to take like your girlfriend out to eat somewhere and you go like, never do this, by the way, never ask this question. It's a dumb fucking question and it leads you to dumb places. But it's like if you're like, hey, guess where we're going, and she'll guess like 19 things, not the place you're going, and then you eventually just go, no, we're going here. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's fine too. It's like, oh, for fuck's sakes, I hate this place. I hate this planet is a prison. I fucking hate this place. In this world, since oil hadn't been discovered and there was no corresponding cheap chemical products, therefore silk stockings were considered high-class items. Not bad. Let me take a look. Erica's joy didn't diminish. I bought them yesterday at Phillips. 1 pair for 30 soli. A total of 5 pairs, Dorago said in a flaunting voice. Now, how expensive? That's expensive. Klein and Erica both said the same thing. One exclaiming and the other secretly sighing. From assassination of an ambassador to this, hey, listen, a good clown has range, okay? You don't just do one act every day. You gotta have a range, you know? You have like a serious act where you do like really scary things, and you do like a joyful one the next day. You know, you gotta mix it up. For this time period, that's a lot of money. Yeah. What is that? A pair for 30 soli. 30 soli. 12 soli in a pound, and he bought 150 pairs, he bought 150 soli worth. So he spent like 12.5 pounds. Jesus Christ, this motherfucker's so women in money. Jeez. Benson worked for so many years, earning only £1.10 soli a week, which is 30 soli. That's just the equivalent to a pair of stocking. And with that salary, he was able to provide for his brother and sister an education, feed them fairly well, and even provided them a place to sleep. An average worker with a bit of skill would only be paid around 20 soli a week. Klein clicked his tongues. No, it's not expensive. Silk stockings are worth that much. I even gave an extra tip of 5 soli. As he spoke, the colors of his aura turned more vivid. Klein guessed that he had taken off his coat, all for a mistress. Then I'll give it a try, Erica said in a suggestive manner. I feel like I'm watching a porno again. This time it's even a live broadcast. Besides, Miss Bodyguard is also here. The corner of Klein's mouth twitched as he watched red colors flowing across the red screen, signifying the passion between the two was like igniting a fire. Klein, after 5 seconds, do you accept men? The silk stocking topic always reminds me of how he was beaten up for stealing a certain lady, and he kept insisting that he was only The purple color is almost red, and it isn't stopping. Red wrapped around green, orange. While listening to the wheezing and low laughter, Klein judged the movements and position of the couple outside based on the change of the colors of their aura. Feeling that this was enough, he slightly pushed open the cupboard door, looked in the direction of the bed. Durago and Erica were already entangled, their clothes half undone, their movements intense. Klein lifted the spectral camera, aimed it at the couple, waiting to see their faces at the same time. As Erica and Durago fell back into the bed, Klein finally captured the most appropriate frame and pressed the shutter button. The click of the camera was indistinct, and the intense flash and the other abnormalities were limited to a small area, so the couple wasn't alarmed. $20 is $20. Yes, sir. Yes. With no confidence in his photography skills, Klein added a few more shots, intending to have options to choose from later. He was only planning on handing his employer a single picture because too many would make the lawyer suspicious why the couple didn't notice him taking the picture. A roll of underwear landed lightly on the door and on the floor, and the sound of breathing intensified as Klein grabbed a portable camera and adeptly rolled out of the cupboard, closing the door behind him. Wait, he just left and they didn't even hear that? This is wild. I was only interested in the material of the stocking. Done. With a sigh of relief, Klein politely closed the door in silence, pressed his hand to his chest, and bowed in the direction of the bed. Without further ado, he returned to his lounge. The last £7 will be obtained soon, and I also gained an additional Quelaag club membership worth £50. It covers board, lodging, and entertainment. That's worth even more than £50. Without any connections or contacts, I wouldn't even be able to join this, even with £100. This mission isn't so bad at all. Safe, simple, profitable. Klein put down his portable camera and sighed with emotion in his heart. At that moment, a hand suddenly stretched out from the camera lens. Miss Bodyguard in her black regal dress slowly came out and floated in midair again. Her face remained pale. Thinking of how he had led her to watch this video, Klein tried to change the topic in embarrassment. I plan on heading to the cafeteria to eat something. Do you want to come with me? Each member can bring a guest. As for how to explain the sudden appearance of the guest, Klein was planning to go out for a while and then come back. Miss Bodyguard replied in a neutral tone, I can go on without eating for 2 weeks. What the fuck is her, beyond her power? What is she? As she spoke, she suddenly turned back to Klein and floated towards the mirror, disappearing in an instant. What exactly is her sequence, Klein thought curiously, putting the portable camera back in its case. Also, Klein got free math. After doing all this, he went to the bathroom and relieved himself. After washing his hands and wiping his face, Klein looked in the mirror and examined his appearance. As he hadn't shaved this morning, he had quite a stubble. His hair was parted to the side in a 3:7 ratio. I don't even know what the fuck that means. And a pair of gold-rimmed glasses hung on his face. He looked refined and scholarly, with a tinge of maturity. Goth baddie? Yes, sir. There's a definite difference from my past. I can still be recognized if scrutinized. Once my beard grows to a certain extent, I wouldn't have to worry that much. I won't even need to be afraid of anything when I advance to Sequence 6 faceless. Klein took out his pocket watch, opened it, and walked out of the bathroom. He took his suitcase and went to the cafeteria on the first floor. It was just after 9, so breakfast was still served. Klein chose a double-sided, half-cooked fried egg, a loaf of white bread, a cake of butter, a desi pie, a serving of bacon, and a cup of marquee black tea with a piece of lemon floating on its surface. While looking for a seat, he suddenly saw a familiar face. It was the surgeon who had recommended him to the club, Aaron Saris. The tall, thin gentleman was sitting alone in the corner. Having finished his breakfast, was sipping on his coffee as he leafed through the newspaper. "Good morning, Dr. Saris." Klein walked over and greeted slightly coldly. "Just call me Aaron, Detective Moriarty." According to the newspaper, According to the principle of reciprocity, you have to call me Sherlock. Klein sat down. "Any news today? I came out in such a hurry that I haven't read the newspaper." The Intis ambassador was assassinated. A terrorist organization by the name of Aurora Order claimed responsibility for it. The gentleman who was unfortunately married. This world is becoming more and more chaotic. Sooner or later, there will be an all-out war in the southern and northern kingdom. Aaron expressed his feelings. "The war has never stopped, sir. It's just that we've only been able to enjoy peace." Klein finished his fried egg and replied with a smile. "What a pity that such an important case wouldn't seek the help of a private detective like us." "Just saying, and now I'm hungry." "Layla, thanks for popping by. How you doing today?" Where am I? Aaron flipped through the newspaper. "The news doesn't have much to do with us. What's important is that the House of Lords and Commons will pass a motion either today or tomorrow after a long debate. It's the Civil Servant Unified Examination Bill, as well as the relevant guidance and actual plans. Second is the establishment of the Atmospheric Pollution Council. And third, the establishment of the Independent Alkaline Industry Inspector. The latter two involve pollution. God, they're finally paying attention to this problem. The patients in the hospital have pulmonary attacks have been rising constantly. Oh my god, hopefully Benson gets a good job now. Is it finally passed? I wonder how Benson's preparations are. Will it be affected by my death?" His smile suddenly beamed. "That's good news." Let me get some coffee instead of Coke today. To Mary, this is extremely good news. She wishes to make herself or her husband, Duragu, become one of the members of the National Atmospheric Pollution Council. She has a higher chance since she doesn't hold any position in the commercial company and is a devotee of the goddess. Besides, in any organization, there's an ultimate need of balance. Aaron mentioned Klein's employer. I suggested to her that she should frequent the club since we have quite a number of House of Common members of Parliament as club members. Holy shit, that is a difficult sentence to say. His smile beamed. I know. One of the best things Cuttlefish does as an author is be able to emerge its viewers into a world and can make it easier to imagine what things look like. Yeah. And that's done with like little details that individually feel like they're unnecessary even, but then put together it feels like it's creating such a rich and vibrant and like real world. Like the thing I mentioned was like a while back, I think Klein was trying to follow a lead on Ian. I think he was trying to find him, so he went looked around for him, and it said like, oh, and then I think he left the bar or Braveheart bar or whatever, and it said like, oh, before heading back to the Cherwood Borough, he went to his house in the East Borough, I think it is, went to pee and then went home. It was like the tiniest detail, but it made it feel so much more like, okay, that's like a real thing, like a very minute thing that everyone would like occasionally have to do. Like, you know, you're heading somewhere and you go, fuck, all right, let me just piss before I go. Like, I really have to go. No, like the tiniest thing, but like in aggregate, you put that over chapters and chapters, over like hundreds or thousands of chapters, it makes it feel like the world is so full. Or like The one of the first things I remember is like chapter like 3 or 4, maybe 7 or 8 or something. The first time we saw, the first time after the first tarot meeting, we got to see the world through Audrey's eyes. Audrey's standing there, and she's like, "Oh, that's the Prime Minister," and it was like, interesting. I don't know in what universe I need to know the fucking Prime Minister's name, but like, cool to know. He's from the Conservative Party. Like, interesting. I don't know when the fuck I would ever need to know that, but cool. And then it was like, oh, that's the Queen, and like she holds this party that all nobles have to attend, and it's sort of like a rite of passage to you now becoming an adult. It was like the tiniest minute details that he was slotting in to make the world feel like, okay, dude, you're just a very small piece in this world. This world has existed long before you. It wasn't made for you. It just has existed, and now you're just slotting in, which makes the world feel so much better. In the Lone Kingdom, the member of parliaments of the House of Commons were mainly composed of wealthy people and the representative of certain nobles. However, there were also many professionals, such as doctors, lawyers, priests, teachers, scientists, and accountants. The Quela Club targeted the variety of professionals in the middle class without distinguishing between their political inclinations. Klein didn't know much about such things, so he just said a few words in response before changing the subject. "Aaron, it's Friday today. Don't you need to head back to the hospital?" "No, I am on leave today. It's been terrible lately," Aaron suddenly frowned. "What happened?" Klein drank a mouthful of black tea. Since Bakerlin had just been assassinated and Rosego's body was thrown into the sewer far away, he didn't know when it would be found. Klein was concerned about the after effects of the imperfection of his disguise, so he didn't plan on taking missions that were too difficult or easily exposed his identity. Therefore, he was interested in simple matters which held potential and handsome rewards. Aaron put down his newspaper and sighed. "I've been very unlucky recently. I've had consecutive failed surgeries. Fortunately, there were no serious consequences, or my license would have been revoked. Although it wasn't big news for surgeons to cause deaths in the present era, since it was common, the penalties were still quite severe if a serious incident occurred due to negligence. Well, I can't help much. Well, actually I know of a luck enhancement ritual, but its effects send you above the grey fog." Klein lowered his head. After breakfast, he said goodbye to Aaron, went to withdraw £500 and gave £300 to Miss Bodyguard before returning home. While waiting for the photos to develop, he hoped for a simple job to be entrusted to him. Unfortunately, none came to him. In the evening, Klein prepared to head out again. His target? Braveheart Bar. Taking the opportunity of having Miss Bodyguard around, he hoped to get in touch with more Beyonder circles. My imagination is cursed for some reason. I always imagine that Gio is Jane Duo from... I don't know who that is. Hold on. Jane Duo. Zenless Zone Zero. I don't... What is this? This has got to be a gacha game, right? I assume? I think it's a gacha game. Actually, pretty interesting how the Prime Minister is conservative, while I imagine Intis is liberal, which highlights their conflicts. Partially, yeah. But the thing is, like, liberal and conservative are kind of handy to know, like, in intra-country politics. Country politics, they just mean, the words mean nothing. Like, in a country, wherever you're from, like, okay, if let's say like you're from, the US, like Democrats and Republicans, like you have a rough understanding of where they stand, but like you go beyond a country scope and it's like even Canada and America, we're like right beside each other, we culturally are very similar, but their Conservative Party and our Conservative Party are like miles apart, and their Liberal Party and our Liberal Party's ages apart, so it doesn't really mean anything, so it's kind of weird. Bro's imagining her. $2.56. Meeting the apothecary again. Is that apothecary? Is that the one that he met at Mystery's thing, or is that Viscount Glaint? Because he's also a... Did he ever get his potion, actually? I don't know. I know he wanted to be an apothecary. What a fucking loser. Before leaving the house, Klein tossed a coin to inquire if it was unbeneficial for him to visit the Braveheart bar. After receiving a negative result, he looked around before whispering into the air, "Is someone monitoring me today?" After a few seconds of silence, Miss Bodyguard's ethereal voice suddenly sounded. "No. Eye of wisdom, not mystery. Yes, sorry." Klein subconsciously looked back, but he failed to find Miss Bodyguard. His attention quickly returned to the newspaper he received, as he couldn't help but let out a snicker in his heart. MI9 isn't even putting me on their suspect list at all. After confirming that Rosego hadn't sought me out, they completely put me aside. Should I feel honored or insulted? It's true that a detective busies himself looking for cats, has no way of being associated with the assassination of an ambassador or getting rid of a Sequence 5. Furthermore, MI9's been monitoring me for quite some time. My panic, helplessness, and my struggle for self-preservation were laid out for them to see. It's obvious that I can't inflict any substantial harm to the ambassador. With that in mind, Klein put on his top hat, carried his black inlaid silver cane, and walked out of 15 Minsk Street. He spent 2 solai for a rental carriage that brought him to Braveheart Bar on Iron Gate Street in the Backland Bridge area. He entered like a regular, walked past the cheering drunkards around the boxing ring, rapped the countertop when he came to the bar, 1 glass of Southfield beer. Bartender looked up at him and mumbled, "Casper's is in cardroom 3. Klein smiled and pushed 5 one-penny copper coins to the man. Then, carrying the wooden cup and sipping the white, smooth, frothy Southfield beer, he walked around the 2 rowdiest, liveliest stages that stank the most and knocked on the door of cardroom 3. Casper's was playing Texas poker with unlimited stakes. Jesus. Stacks of cash were piled in front of him, as well as yellow coins that piled up in a dazzling heap. Noticing Klein, the black market arms dealer with a huge scar on his face twitched his big red nose and casually said, "I don't like using chips, they don't feel real to me. It's still the texture of cash and the weight of coins that leaves me intoxicated." I'm not reading that last sentence. After finishing that sentence, Casper's frowned slightly. "What are you doing here?" "I told you it's cursed, I can't get it out of my mind." Klein didn't answer directly, but he gestured with his mouth to speak outside. "Damn it, I was gonna clean them up with his hand. Bullshit. I'm folding." Casper's tossed his cards in front of him and into the middle of the table. He then limped to the door and said to Klein, "You better have a damn good reason." After leaving the card room and coming to the corner, Klein said in a suppressed voice, "I want to know when the most recent gathering will be, just like the last one." Caspers looked at him suspiciously. "Haven't you struck a deal with Merrick? It's not about hiring bodyguards. Regarding that, you know, I've become very interested in it." Klein was telling the truth. "In what?" "There will be a gathering tonight. The organizer is the same as last time. You'll have to wait more than a half hour. I'll inform them. You showed your reputation last time, so I don't think there'll be too much of a problem." "No worries. I'll pay you. You just need to pay £1 this time." Caspers acted like he was very generous. "It's worth it," Klein said as the corners of his lips curled up. "Do you play Balatro?" "I do not, no. I just play actual Texas Hold'em." "I hope you soon go to 20 chapters a day. May the full..." "No, I can't do that, Nightwalker. I would die." 15, I think, is about my current limit, because in time, maybe I can do better and get to 20, but that would be unlikely. That would be hella impressive, because then I could average like 120 chapters a week, which would be dope as fuck. But I wouldn't bet on it. But then again, it hasn't been that long since I started streaming. I want to say 5 weeks, something approximating that. And when I started, I could do 5 chapters a day, and that sucked. And now I'm triple that, so you know, we're making good headway. You just need to get good. Yeah, okay, thanks, Nuggets. I gambled once, then got beaten to a pulp by my parents because it's haram. Never again. After paying Caspers, he found a seat and sat down, drinking the rich malt-scented Southfield beer and enjoying the competition on the ring. "I can beat them and take them down at the same time." Klein quickly came to a conclusion. After about 10 minutes, Caspers returned to the bar, looked around, and said, "They agreed. We'll head there after a half hour. Holy Lord of Storm, I hope you haven't forgotten that mask." Klein gave a positive answer. He slowed down his drinking as he began sipping. Would you guys be okay for if we did a 3-hour stream today? Is that good with you guys? Or this morning, rather? I'll do an afternoon one. Depends what time we'll play by ear, because again, it depends on if easy streaming, then we'll do it again at 11 p.m. like we normally do. If not, we'll do it a little bit sooner like yesterday. It's just nice for me. I can then go to the gym in the afternoon, which is good. Alright, I think it's positive from Chris. It was the same path they took as the previous time, and it was the same house without any light. Klein put on his iron mask, but only covered half his face, as he watched Caspers knocking on the door rhythmically. Yeah, I'm skipping school to do it. Next stream sooner, better. Again, Ramiro, I don't mind doing sooner, but if Easy plans on streaming, then I don't want to overlap with them, because it kind of sucks for both of us that way. And for you guys as well. So it's just kind of dog shit for everybody involved. Okay, good stuff. I think we'll do 3 hours. If we do 3 hours, then we'll probably go beyond 260. I feel like, but we'll see. The rhythm is completely different from last time. The knocking changes all the time. Klein listened carefully for a moment, then saw a small plank of the door open and a pair of eyes peer out. And after the indistinguishable process like before, he put on the hooded robe and hid his face in the shadows. Easy has no schedule, yeah. It was the same as the living room, with a candle flickering in the dim light. Klein randomly found a seat and quickly sat down. But like before, he no longer felt suppressed or tensed. Because if we go for 3 hours today, then I'll be done around 2. By then, I think Lazarus episode 3 will come out, so I can watch that, make a video on that a little bit later. Get that ready for tomorrow, stream in the afternoon, go to the gym at night, and then pass out. And then do that again tomorrow. It was the same living room as before, with a candle flickering in the dim light. Klein randomly found a seat and quietly sat down. But unlike before, he no longer felt suppressed or tensed. Instead, he leisurely looked around. The cold wind that blew across the back of his neck made him certain that Miss Bodyguard had followed him in without anyone noticing. As expected, there are no Sequence 5 experts at this gathering. There might not even be Sequence 6, Klein thought. I don't like Lazarus much. I've liked it so far. I don't know. In fairness, I love the creator. And the creator's the same guy that made Samurai Champloo and stuff, which I'm a huge fan of. And it feels very in line with what he's done. I've liked it. You know, the animation feels very good, very snappy. I like it. After listening on the conversation a while, he saw the round-faced apothecary change his posture as if he wanted to speak. Have you watched To Be a Hero X? I have. It's very good. Yeah, To Be a Hero X episode 3 comes out tomorrow. Yeah, episode on that video on that the day after. I couldn't find anything to make a video about in episode 2. It was so much about the romance, and I don't know how to talk about it. I couldn't figure it out, so I didn't make a video on that. As expected, the apothecary, who had a half-chubby face exposed, raised his hand and said Black Snake had apparently died in the sewers. Those beasts are still rampant. Black Snake died? Klein was surprised to hear the news. Black Snake was the man who had sold him the remains of the listener, allowing him to, successfully, create the language of foulness. It was suspected that he was from the Aurora Order. His strength wasn't low at all. He actually died performing a simple mission of clearing beasts in the sewers? Klein frowned suspiciously. He thought of something. When he discovered Zariel's corpse, he heard thumping sounds deep in the sewers. Can you guys hear the sirens outside? Because there's what I can only assume is a fire truck not too far away. There's a fire station not too far from our house, so we hear it relatively commonly. No? Okay, good. Because I have my window open because it gets hot as shit in my room, so if you guys ever do hear some outside shit that's bothering you, just let me know. I can close the window. By the time he led Ian there, parts of Zariel's body had been eaten by strange beasts. That was the bottom of our iron carbon in the East Burrow, quite far from the Backland Bridge. I wonder if there's a connection. Klein had no impulse to verify it. when the main theme is as a genius that created a medicine which will mutate and kill you in 3 years? Yeah. But, but how could you say there's too many plot holes 2 episodes in? We don't even know anything yet. There's no plot to have a hole in. I'm on chapter 150. This will spoil me. No worries, Blaze. I appreciate you popping by. If you're interested, consider joining the Discord for when you do get caught up, or if you have any questions midway through the story, because Lord knows I have a shit ton of those. But unless everyone takes it at the same time, the time they die should differ. Yeah, that was already stated. They said what they said was the first batch of people to die will be in like 30 days at the start of the series. News of Black Snake's death quickly spread across the dark room, attracting the murmurs of many. A sense of fear spread among them, as though they had experienced it themselves. Yeah, it's been brought up. Oh, easy. How's it going, man? The apothecary clapped his hands and said, "So, what should I do?" The whispers suddenly disappeared, and a frozen silence filled the room. As the apothecary had advised without being afraid of offending him, Klein thought for a moment and said, "If I were you, I would give up on the rest of the herbs and never go there again." "Why? They'll mature very soon, and those beasts that hide in the depths of the sewers usually won't come out," the apothecary said hesitantly. "Sir Raven, how's it going, man?" Klein deliberately said in a hoarse voice, "Black Snake likely has an organization backing him. His death would have caused an investigation. I believe you don't want to interact with them, right?" Having the remains of a listener didn't imply that Black Snake was an Aurora member order. By referring to the true creator as a great being, this was confirmed. Moreover, he would rather believe that this was the case rather than hoping for a fluke. Yeah, apothecary nodded slightly, seemingly having made up his mind. Klein added, "If I were you, I would even anonymously report this matter to the police." "What?" Many members exclaimed. Klein explained without a change in tone. Since the beasts in the sewers can kill Black Snake, it means they're very dangerous, and since everyone lives in Backland, it really causes a major catastrophe. It's hard to guarantee that we won't be implicated. That's why the best option is to attract the attention of the police and let the officials handle this. We can enjoy a good outcome without any risks. Isn't that nice?" Just as he finished his sentence, the old man, Eye of Wisdom, applauded. "Such a great idea. We're afraid of official Beyonders, but similarly, we can make use of them. We don't have to handle everything on our own." Yeah, I have one question. What is the Foodaholic Empire? I think that's the... I think that's just the... hold on. Hold on. I have this in my notes. I think it just refers to like China where he lived. I don't quite get the reference, mind you, but I think it just means like Foodaholic Empire is just how Chinese people call China. Yes. Another name. Yeah. That's because I was an official Beyonder, so my train of thought would definitely be different from savages like you, Klein smiled. After speaking, he became a bystander again, listening to people peddling or requesting for items. As he watched the deals, which succeeded or failed, he found nothing of interest. Like they eat anything? I don't know if it's quite that. I think it's just referring to like, I would assume it would just be referring to like how much variety there is of food in China, because like it's a big country with like a diverse, relatively diverse food atmosphere. I don't even know how you'd phrase that. Food scene? I don't know, whatever. After speaking, he became he temporarily didn't announce the Beyonder ingredients he needed, planning to observe the circle of Beyonders a few more times. Seconds turned into minutes, and finally, Eye of Wisdom arranged for people to leave every 3 minutes. Klein was the first to leave the previous time, so he didn't know what happened next. Now, he noticed there were at least 5 exits. The attendant of the Eye of Wisdom would lead people to different passages, trying their best to space them out and drag out time. After more than a half hour, there were only 3 members of the gathering left. Apart from the Eye of Wisdom and the other 2, Klein and the suspected apothecary. Eye of Wisdom looked at Klein and said with his aged voice, "Looks like you're quite lucky." He recognized me as the man who bought the ominous item for Black Snake. Yes, my bet paid off. After hearing the conversation, the apothecary widened his eyes as he examined Klein. After a long time, he finally said, "Do you have another mystical item that affects luck? I already regarded you as a dead person." "You're so direct," Klein said tactfully. "Maybe I'm just lucky enough myself." Actually, he did want such an item. Eye of Wisdom sighed and said, "Young lad, don't always bet on your luck, especially on matters such as this. Even if you won many times in the past, just one loss would doom you for eternity." "I know, that's why I came to this gathering, to see if I can buy useful items. I can be considered the same as all of you now," Klein said casually. "Same," the apothecary gave an exaggerated look. "I should have listened to my teacher." Teacher? He seems to be a suspected apothecary, which is controlled by the Church of Earth Mother and the Life School of Thought. Life School of Thought passes their teachings down through mentoring. Klein skipped a beat and asked curiously, "Why do you say that?" The apothecary sighed and said, "My teacher told me to choose a path that would make one sufficiently lucky, but in the end, I still became a medicine concoctor. As a result, I haven't been able to find the next batch of potion ingredients for the sequence for a whole 2 years. I'm envious of your luck." Make one sufficiently lucky. That's quite similar to the sequence for Monster. He really is from the Life School of Thought. Klein smiled and said, "What's your reason for choosing it?" The apothecary straightened his back and said, "This is a man's choice." "A fucking pharmacist? Dude, you're a loser." "After knowing that I can concoct medicine to enhance my ability in that field, I chose this path without hesitation." 257, 281. Alright, so we're gonna get artifact here. Or maybe there's an artifact I already know. I don't know. Unlike Easy, I haven't been keeping a track of them. I'm just relying on pure memory. What a godlike... sorry, hold on. I'm just gonna... Well, okay. Dr. Z, you're a real-life doctor. This loser chose to risk death and eternal madness in exchange for becoming a fucking not a psychiatrist, a pharmacist. That's a loser, okay? That's a loser mentality. If you're gonna take such risks to, maybe lose control, die, whatever, you gotta get something cool. Like, you look at, like, Klein. Okay, like, he can divine stuff about the future. He can do, like, damn near superhuman abilities. Soon he's gonna be able to use spells. Like, okay, maybe worth dying for. I don't know if I'd take that, but, like, maybe you definitely make the argument. This motherfucker did it to make, medicine? Dude, just go to school. My friend really, needs his magic drugs. Yeah, all this for some homemade Viagra. God, what a loser. Oh, God. What a godlike reason. After hearing the apothecary's answer, Klein was unable to control the changes in his expression despite being a clown. Fortunately, he was wearing an iron mask over his face. The apothecary didn't notice the reaction Klein and the Eye of Wisdom had, and he began to let his hair down. That's why I really like Backland. There's a lot of prostitutes prowling the streets, hanging outside music halls, theaters, and waiting in the streets and alleys. I said that as a joke, hold on. But now I'm starting to believe it, hold on. They're either professionals or working part-time. They were originally maidservants or workers, each with a different flavor. It said that in places of the West Borough, bankrupt aristocratic ladies might occasionally appear. That's really something to look forward to. Klein nudged the iron mask that covered his face and quickly changed the topic. Did your teacher have any objections to your choice? The apothecary shook his head. No, he just kicked me out of the damn door after teaching me all the knowledge in the field of herbs, telling me to roam the world and experience life. Damn it, he didn't even tell me where to find the next potion ingredients. At this point, the apothecary looked at Klein and added, "If you know where to obtain Spring of the Elves Mirror crystals, please do tell me. I'll pay you for it." Of course, you can also buy it first and then sell it to me at a higher price. You're a lucky guy. Who knows? You might fulfill my wish. We all know that guy has... yeah, he's from Intus for sure. Alright, Klein casually agreed. He then thoughtfully asked, when that happens, can I use it to exchange for the potion formula for apothecary? From his point of view, an apothecary was very useful as a support. He could use it to... That's not a good word. That word has fallen out of favor, and they should really use a different one. He could use it to develop helpers. The apothecary, who wasn't considered too fat, quickly shook his head and said, "No way, I can only teach my students." Is this a rule of the School of Life of Thought? He might have made an oath with some secret existence as a witness. Klein wasn't surprised. But I can tell you where you can get the apothecary formula. It's right here in Backland. Brilliant. Klein was pleasantly surprised. Realizing that Eye of Wisdom was about to send him off, he hurriedly asked, "Mr. Apothecary, do you have any medication to treat mental disorders or other problems?" Yes, Chris. Yes, it did. Klein was acting for Miss Bodyguard to make her feel more assured, having been slightly influenced by the true creator and becoming a potential lunatic, that he was desperate to find a cure. Yes, there's a sedative. 10 soli for one. I'll bring you 4 in the next gathering. Trust me, this is definitely more useful than the ones at the hospital. I've added some materials with spirituality, the apothecary replied without hesitation. How expensive? In the underground market of Tingen, at the number of sedatives that originated from the hospital ranged from 1 to 2 soli, while the variety that leaked from the Nighthawks, mandated punishers, and the hive mind ranged from 4 to 5 soli. As this thought flashed across his mind, Klein put on a show, looked at the Eye of Wisdom and said, "Dear sir, may I attend the next gathering?" "Yes, your last 2 performances are proof of your goodwill, lad. Watch out for the Backland Morning Post daily. When there's an advertisement for the purchase of goods by the Ernst firm on the 5th page, it means there would be a meeting at 8 o'clock the next evening. The strength and frequency of the knocking is based on the prices listed. The first price is the number of heavy strikes. The second is the number of light strikes. The third is the number of long pauses. And the fourth is the number of short pauses. The rest are meaningless," the Eye of Wisdom said with a nod. Good lord. After describing the information, he sighed and said, "The lives of Beyonders who are neither official or part of organizations aren't as nice as you imagine. On the other hand, we have to keep secrets, avoid the officials, and at any time, we have to maintain a cautious and careful state. On the other hand, we have to fight against the possibility of losing control and madness. Too many of our kind have died because of these matters." Well, yeah, it's good that he has, like, enhanced memory and can divine it back if he forgets, because, Jesus Christ. There's a Ernst firm that's gonna put out a thing on the 5th page. That means there's a gathering the next night at 8. The first is the number of heavy strikes. The second is the number of light strikes. The third is the number of long pauses. The fourth is the number of short pauses. Like, fuck, I would forget that for sure. Even if we successfully evade the officials' notice and avoid losing control and going crazy, we would still fall into the predicament of lacking ingredients and the inability to find items we want or obtain sufficient knowledge. I organize such gatherings to get everyone to help each other. Unfortunately, this is an era of scarce mysteries. Many Beyonder ingredients are rarely seen. Yes, but I have Mr. Hanged Man who knows the coordinates of some primitive islands, and the city of Silver Sun who's constantly fighting against various demons in the depth of darkness. I can rely on them to obtain some Beyonder ingredients. Klein politely stood up with his back bent and bowed to the Eye of Wisdom. Just write it on a paper. Nah, dude. Have you ever seen any spy do that, Nagito? Have you ever seen any spy do that? No. Why? Because it's not cool. So we don't do that. Reynaldi, yes, this is. Your character is admirable. After sitting down, Klein suddenly remembered something about, something, and, good lord, hold on, I just gotta restart that sentence. After sitting down, Klein suddenly remembered something and asked us after some deliberation, "Gentlemen, do you have any mystical items? The kind that Black Snake sold me? Ones without too serious negative effects. I wish to have some sort of ability to protect myself." His plan was to find something that caught his interest, determine the price, and determine the target accordingly. But I don't have any money right now, but that doesn't mean I won't have any in the future. Can't I make an inquiry about the price without money? The apothecary spread out his hands, indicating that he didn't have any, and even if he did, he wouldn't sell them. The Eye of Wisdom chuckled and said, "I do have some, but I don't know what you'd like to buy. Give me an approximate range." Some. He's most likely a savant pathway beyonder who relies on external items. Something stronger than me, not something that improves my combat ability. It's best if it has some mystical powers. He didn't go into detail so as to maintain his image of a newcomer. "I have an item that suits your requirements. Its code name is 2081. 2081, Klein asked. The puzzlement was disguised on the surface, but on the inside he was very shocked. A sealed artifact. Is this a sealed artifact that leaked from Chana's Gate of the Evernight? Klein didn't expect to see a familiar code name here. Eye of Wisdom casually simply explained, "Many mystical items have rather obvious side effects that cause certain harm. Therefore, the 7 Orthodox churches seek them out and seal them. They're called sealed artifacts and are distinguished using numbers as code names." Over a long period of debate and exchanges, do I have to read all this? I fucking already know this. Alright, fine. The 7 churches formed a uniform naming convention. It labels the different danger grades from 0, 1, 2, and 3. Among them, 0 is the most dangerous. Rumors say that some are terrifying that can destroy countries or even the world. The 7 Orthodox churches will exchange information regarding 0 and 1, telling each other which ones they possess. Therefore, 0 and 1 codenames won't be repeated. 2 and 3 are arranged by respective churches, so they may have the same code name. Klein had long known about the general situation but was puzzled by something. Information regarding 0 and 1 is exchanged? Okay, well that is new information. Wouldn't that be disclosing major secrets? It would allow the other churches to know how many hidden cards they have. Of course, this could also be seen as a form of strategic deterrence to avoid direct conflict between the 7 churches. Klein considered the possible reasons. Yeah, that would be like a nuclear deterrent, basically, right? Like, hey, I have 4 0 grade things. Even if you have 6, 4 is enough to really do a lot of irreparable damage to you, even if you win. So, you probably don't want to start shit. Yes, although I'm unable to explain the reason for doing that, it has indeed happened. Legend has it that during the end of the 4th epoch or the beginning of the 5th, the 7 churches came to an agreement. Eye of Wisdom said in an unhurried pace, "My 281 was obtained by the Church of Knowledge and Wisdom. It allows you to understand and comprehend many things. Even an enemy beyonder's powers can be rapidly identified, allowing me to know their strengths and weaknesses. I'll also have a chance at being able to mimic them." Exactly, yeah. The stronger the opponent, the higher the chances of failure. Of course, even successes would result in a huge difference from the original. That does sound very fucking cool. Because that would, if Klein gets this, then that would mean like the number of names that we're able to get for sequences will be exponentially higher. Because he'll just be walking by someone on the street and go, that guy's sequence 9 or whatever, that guy's sequence 7, whatever. Like, he'll just know that stuff, right? Which is cool. That sounds very strong. Proof that knowledge is power. In the end, there will be a situation where omniscience is equal to omnipotence. I retract my previous judgment. Old Mr. Eye of Wisdom may not be an appraiser. His identification of items might have relied on 281. So, how much would I need to buy it? What flaws does it have? It will keep you in a state where your mind is churning at high speeds. Once it exceeds the time limit, you'll become stupid. Eye of Wisdom simply replied without providing enough detail. At this moment, the apothecary beside him muttered, "Perhaps your brain has already been damaged. You keep talking about your collections. Sooner or later, someone will rob you and kill you. Sir, your persuasions are always so repugnant." Nah, he won't know the name. He'll only know the abilities. Well, that sucks. Whatever. Eye of Wisdom laughed and said, "How do you know that I'm not saying it on purpose to make greedy people attack me? It's like the entrapment law that Emperor Rizal described. It's a pure analyst, not information." Okay, fair. After the laughter stopped, he patted his armrest on the sofa and sighed. As a person who loves collecting things, it's excruciating not being able to flaunt my collection to others. I'm sorry, 281 isn't for sale. It's my best collection, and back then I spent £6,800 to buy it. A sealed artifact at this level can cost from £4,000 to £20,000 and is determined by its effect and negative effects. Most of the time, they can't even be bought with money. Then why did you say so much? Seemingly sensing his reaction, Eye of Wisdom chuckled. What I really wish to recommend are 2 items. The first is a brooch. It can allow you to ward off spirits and purify them, as well as using a portion of spells in the Sun Domain. The flaw is that as long as you wear it, you'll never feel coolness. You'll forever be stuck in a warm summer of the south. That sounds amazing. Why is that bad? The other is a hat that can change shapes. Wearing it allows you to freely move underwater for at least half an hour, and allow you to use some water or wind domain spells. The flaw is that you will desire water. Once you walk on land, he will gradually weaken. That sucks. Ew. I don't want that. The first one is dope. I don't want the second one. I gradually weaken when I'm on land? What am I, fucking Aquaman? The most useless Justice League member? Fuck that. I hate being hot, so that sounds miserable. Hold on. It said a warm summer of the south. It didn't say you would be hot all the time. It said you stuck in a warm summer, okay? If it said like, oh, you'll be hot all the time, yeah, okay, that's annoying as fuck. I don't want that. But a warm summer of the south, that sounds pretty good. Sailor pathway related sealed artifacts are not cool. Yeah, that sounds like dog shit. Like I'm basically just fucking Aquaman. Ew, get that shit away from me. I would rather be a regular human than Aquaman, you understand? The price of similar items can range from £1,500 to £3,500. And sometimes, even if you raise the price several fold, they aren't necessarily for sale because they rarely appear. It took me more than 3 decades to collect a few. Klein nodded slightly and said, I'll think about it. I'll make the decision during the next gathering. Besides, I don't have the money right now. The warm summer would mean that you'd be hot. Warm summer, not hot. Warm just means like, oh, like it's like our bodies are warm. Come on, guys. Hard disagree. Definitionally, off or at a fairly or comfortably high temperature. Comfortably. Definitionally. I'm right. The concrete road turned dusty from prolonged rain. 2 gas lamps, the height of an adult male, along the 2 sides of a road emanated a bright but misty light near the moisture on the glass. The south is very hot. Michael, I don't believe I've seen you here before. Thank you. Thanks for popping by. How you doing? The south is very hot. But it said more. Okay, fuck it. Everyone's saying it, so I'll say fine. But like, I still think I'm right. Fuck, whatever. I don't want to just argue the fucking temperature of the southern continent forever. I can't. I don't give a shit. A rental carriage drove through the night as the surrounding pedestrians either wore hats or carried umbrellas. Klein leaned against the wall, idly admiring the evening streets of Backland. At that moment, he felt a sudden drop of temperature. A gloomy and cold wind was swirling about. Klein jerked his head and saw that Miss Bodyguard, dressed in a black regal dress, was sitting opposite him without even realizing it. Her voice was ethereal and dreamy. That Eye of Wisdom sensed my presence. As expected, Klein nodded. He has several mystical items. Perhaps he sensed because of them. I even suspect that he has an organization behind him. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to collect several relatively powerful mystical items in 30 years with his powers alone. Previously, the Vice Admiral only had a single creeping hunger despite being one of the 7 great Admiral pirates. Of course, it's possible that the latter had high standards and ordinary mystical items didn't catch his attention. After all, with creeping hunger, he could be more well-rounded and nearly be without any weaknesses. Okay, let's take the middle ground. Warm is enough to be enjoying but not too hot, like 35F? Or 35C? Are you out of your mind? Let me show you something. Warmest average Canada, Southern Ontario temperatures, 26, 28, 27. Or 27, 28, 27. Warmest. You guys are out of your fucking mind with 35 and 42. Yes, Eye of Wisdom himself to be rich there has to be a rather good explanation. He organized many gatherings, and once he finds a suitable mystical item, he would spare no expense to get it. Having a few in his collection isn't that unbelievable? It's like he has a gold mine at home or runs a bank. Eye of Wisdom is secretly Audrey's father. Most of the... Ah, Celestial, that sounds fucking miserable. Jesus Christ. It reaches triple digits in the summer? Yeah, but you're using Fahrenheit. What the fuck does that even mean? Say 100F. What is that? 100F is 38 degrees. Celsius. He didn't mention in detail that he had guessed the Eye of Wisdom was from the Church of Steam and Machinery or from the Church of God of Knowledge and Wisdom, out of fear that he would expose to Miss Bodyguard that he wasn't someone who had just become a Beyonder. The blonde Miss Bodyguard nodded slightly as though agreeing with Klein's suspicion. Suddenly, she frowned and looked opposite the window. Looked at the window opposite her. A rich smell of blood. There's a strong smell of blood. Klein turned his head in puzzlement and looked out the window. There was a secluded alley and a sparse drizzle. Near the mouth of the alley, a woman wearing a gorgeous dress was on the ground. At that moment, a pedestrian walked past and on careful inspection let out a sudden scream. Is this Jack the Ripper? Who is this? The scream startled the horse slightly, and the carriage driver quickly tightened his rein, slowing down the carriage. Under the light of the gas lamp, Klein saw the pale face of the woman lying on the ground at the mouth of the alley. There was a deep gash in her stomach, and her internal organs seemed to have been hollowed out. Is this Jack the Ripper? Who the fuck is this? The blood on the ground around her was flowing slowly, crimson and thick. As a qualified former Nighthawk, he quickly thought of many similar cases. These were often related to devil worshippers. When it came to devil worship, it was almost always tied to ancient organizations. It was a blood sanctify sect that first appeared in the 4th epoch. According to the records, there was a loose alliance formed due to their worship of devils. It consisted of several of the so-called devil clans, such as the Nos, Andariel and Beria clan. They weren't subordinate to each other. Should I write this down? In a bid to proselytize faith in the devil, they committed many murders. Back in Tingen, the accountant for the Nighthawks, Mrs. Oriana, was one of the victims who was thankfully saved. Of course, not all of the similar cases were committed by them. Some people felt that such acts were cool and began to imitate them. It looks like it was done by a blood sanctify sect, Miss Bodyguard whispered as her body suddenly turned translucent before vanishing. She didn't care if Klein understood or comprehended the situation. Obviously, write that down. Why? What is the fucking... devil worshipping sect matter? Okay. Um, at, at that moment, the carriage had already passed the scene of the crime. Klein also noticed that the patrolling police had arrived, so they held back the idea of getting off the carriage to observe and instead chose to act as an ordinary citizen who was passing by. Nah, it's too hot here these days. Going past 30 is too much. Yes, Citizen Mr. Moriarty. The Blood Sanctify sect has the criminal pathway. Hold on. Yes, this is already in the notes. Never mind. The Blood Sanctify sect has the criminal pathway, which is known as the Devil pathway. Interesting. It said that after sequence 7, the corresponding Beyonder would gradually turn demonic. However, they would only reveal those signs under certain circumstances. So the thing that that Mr. A used to kill him with the devil was the criminal pathway. Interesting. And the plot thickens. Sequence 9 criminals have strong bodies, keen instincts, and a variety of criminal abilities, but their conscience isn't gone yet. Wait, when did we learn about this? How does he know this? Sequence 9 criminals. He read it in Nighthawks, wouldn't tell us. Oh, God, this dick. Sequence 8. Known. So, sorry. So is Sequence 9 officially called Criminals? Like, is that the name? 8 known as... Yes, okay, thank you. Angel. The moment 4th, they lose their conscience and revel in evil desires with bodies that even look inhuman, and obtain some magical powers of the and obtain some magical powers of the devil. 7. Serial killer has a good deal of knowledge and rituals regarding devil worship and like to please the devil with serial murders. Oh, for fuck's sakes. This fucking pathway that I barely knew anything about, now I have an entire fucking paragraph on. Jesus Christ. Sequence 9 criminals. Yes, thank you, Romero. I don't know the sequences after that. The information regarding the Blood Sanctify sect and the Devil pathway flashed past Klein's mind. The rain outside seems to have become heavier as the rain on the windows converged and fell. The whole world became quiet and unclear. What was the point of thinking so much? Such matters would definitely be taken by the Beyonder squad. It might even be the Punishers or the Nighthawks. You wanted to be on this pathway, right? No, never mind. Well, turning into a devil is kind of cool. It's like my own devil trigger from Devil May Cry, so I don't know. Now, which pathway do you think we'll take? He might take this one. I don't know. He might be a lunatic. But I still think just if in the real world he had the option to, he would just be a prick and just take the sleepless one so he could get to nightmares and just bother people. Final guess. What's the point of thinking so much? Alright. By the time he returned to 15 Minsk Street, he had forgotten about the murder case. He went next door and knocked on Sammer's front door, asking Sally to tell Mary that she could come for the evidence tomorrow afternoon. Following that, he washed up and read the newspaper. Good pathways haven't been introduced yet. This is interesting. Once I get my notes figured out tomorrow, today, because I need to see how many of the 22 pathways I already know. I feel like I know a good bunch by now. Criminal is underrated. Like, that sounds cool. It's just like after sequence 7, it's my own devil trigger. I can be like from Devil May Cry. That sounds awesome. Apprentice and Monster are statistically the most popular. Interesting. We almost know nothing about My Goat's pathway. Prisoner's better. I know Prisoner exists, and it's held by the Rose School of Thought. I just don't know anything else about it. Like what does it do? Does it give you any powers? What do you become? Following that, he washed up and read the newspaper, learning about the current situation and news in Backland. You can see almost everyone has different favorite pathways. This is true, yeah. Wait, Romero, can you tell me what yours is, or do I still not know about it? I can't say, but it's better. It'd be the Demoness Sect, Unhinged. On Saturday morning, the next day, Klein enjoyed his breakfast slowly and went to pick up the freshly developed photos. He chose the best one with the best view of Darago Gale's and Erica Taylor's face, the one that brought out their passions the most. Dude, Dr. Z, you're actually not wrong. So far, I've really enjoyed Hunter, dude. Hunter sounds so cool. Like, you just get physical stats, but then you can also set up, like, Giant. Yeah, that is true, because that's the god of combat, and I would also love that. God, Dr. Z knows me so well. On Saturday, putting the photos away, he went to the Rice police station before Mrs. Mary arrived and successfully got the bail money that was worth £10 back. Let's go! In the process, he also saw a real Sergeant Faxine and felt a little uncomfortable. It's easily secret suppliant, Shepherd, interesting, second as apprentice, third as spectator. You have a fucking ranking of them? That sounds cool. Secret suppliant is cool. The Shepherd is good. I like it because Shepherd just gives you everything. So if you're an undecisive person, you just take Shepherd and you just become whatever you want. It's not bad. In the process, he also saw the real Sergeant Faxine and felt a little uncomfortable. After withdrawing the remaining £500 from his account, Klein was finally done with everything after having a busy morning. Before he prepped lunch, he handed the remaining £600 to Mrs. Bodyguard in one go, leaving £146, 8 solai, 5 pence on him. That was all his liquid funds. Other than Miss Justice, I have no other debts. Klein... What does he owe Miss Justice? Klein cooked himself a T-bone steak, sprinkled it with black pepper sauce. Just got here. Hey, thanks for popping by. How you doing? If I were to really choose, I wouldn't choose my favorite pathway. Instead, I will choose the one with the lowest chance of losing control. Dr. Z. Here's the thing, okay? That isn't a good mentality, okay? You don't go into a game thinking, oh golly gee, I just don't want to lose. No, you go in thinking, damn it, I want to win, okay? You go after the best one, not the one with the least chance of losing control. It's not a good way to go about it. Have more faith in yourself. Just as he was enjoying the medium well steak, medium well? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Whilst in a good mood, the doorbell suddenly rang and resounded in his house. Mrs. Mary, isn't this too early? Klein put down the fork and walked to the door. He paused for 2 seconds as the image of the visitor appeared in his mind. It was an old-fashioned gentleman in a light grey overcoat, a silk top hat, and he held a black and gold cane. He had sharp blue eyes and his temples were streaked with white. His wrinkles were deeply engraved in his face, causing his facial muscles to seemingly sag. May I know who you're looking for? Klein asked after opening the door. Are you Sherlock Detective Moriarty? That's not the right way to ask that, whatever. Do you have something you wish to entrust to me? Klein nodded, made his way, leading the old gentleman to the living room. He hesitated for 2 seconds, then asked, would you like coffee or tea? A cup of hot water, please. The old gentleman took off his hat and sat down. Very well. It's very simple. Maybe I should just consider getting an assistant to serve tea and clean the place. Klein's mind wandered. Bro, you have no money. After placing the hot water in front of the gentleman, he sat down on the sofa. How may I address you? Millet Carter, the old gentleman simply replied. Mr. Carter, what would you like to entrust me with? As he spoke, he quietly activated his spirit vision to observe Carter. He's in pretty good health. There are some problems with the color of his joints, probably arthritis. His emotions are mostly blue from calm thinking and a hint of anxiety. Just with a glance, Klein had come to a general conclusion. Millet Carter lifted his white porcelain cup and said, the thing is, I've bought a house on William Street. I come from Midseashire, and because of my business, I will be living in Backland permanently. William Street? Where is that? Having been in Backland for less than a month, Klein, who had to consult the map or rely on his intuition, tried his best to appear steady and stable. Hold on. No, you don't get it. It's really powerful. It's just not that fun. Okay, well, it can be. Okay, that might be. Just because everyone else deals with losing control. How does that help Romero? The Aurora Order instincts are... I'm used. My top 5 are Hunter, Demoness. Alright, feisty. I like it. Black Emperor, Sun, Corpse Collector. This is Klein's own logic. I would automatically be a marauder in the moment. I think, ideally, you'd want to pick a pathway that would best align with your day-to-day life so that you could act and get... oh, no, I guess they said no. They made it clear that it's acting and it's not who you are, so I guess you shouldn't do that. No, never mind. Okay, I take that sentence back. Stricken from the record, so to speak. Millet Carter looked at him, and under his gaze he continued, rumor has it that the house was originally owned by a bankrupt Viscount. This was 2 or 3 decades ago. After a few change of hands, I finally bought it. I would immediately shoot myself at the moment I'm in Lord of the Mysteries. Why? I feel like I would make a good someone of the lawyer pathway. I feel like I'd be good. I don't know much about it, but what little I do know, I feel like I'd do good with that. I planned on doing some reservation that suited the modern style, but I discovered a hidden secret door in the basement which led to a very large underground structure. Considering it may not be safe, I temporarily stopped construction. I prevented the workers and servants from rashly exploring it. I hope that you can help me confirm the situation inside the underground structure. Underground structure, ancient ruins. Why don't you call the police? The resources that the police can mobilize are 100 times that of a private detective like me can muster. The results of the exploration will be better and more reliable. I don't want too many people to know about this, especially the government. If I can confirm there's no danger within the underground structure, I intend to use it as part of the structure and repurpose it. I know that this is a high risk for you, and I'm willing to pay £50 for it, but you can't have more than 3 assistants, and I can make up for it later, depending on the circumstance. And that's quite a high price. If I were an ordinary detective, that'd be equivalent to 2 or 3 months of my salary. He just arrived in Backland and doesn't know other detectives. He could only read the newspaper and look for hires and ended up coming to me. Let me think about it. He suddenly revealed an apologetic smile, pointed behind him, and said, I need to use the restroom. Millet nodded slightly and took a sip of his hot water. Before entering the bathroom and closing the door, Klein looked at the mirror, took out a copper penny. Because the missed bodyguard with him, he couldn't confirm it above the grey fog. He could only rely on his own divination skill. I should accept this commission. He chanted it 7 times and watched the coin tumble. It fell into his palm and the king portraits faced up, indicating a positive response, and whispered into the air. Klein slightly nodded and whispered into the air. What does your intuition tell you? This bodyguard's figure quickly appeared in the mirror. There's a certain amount of danger, but not great. Very good. Klein put away the coin, washed his hands, and walked out of the bathroom and said, I'll take the commission. $2.59. Oh, for fuck's sakes, we're going so fast nowadays, man. Cause what 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was I plan on doing 7 chapters now, but then I figured we'll stream for 3 hours. There's 2 chapters left, and I have an hour 20 left. This is crazy. We're going so much faster than before. Yes, please keep going. Huge lore drops coming. Okay, dope. At the current range, it looks like I'm gonna get through another 4, maybe 4 chapters. If there's something coming up in like 5 or 6, I'll keep going. I won't be a prick and just stop right before. But yeah, like this is looking pretty good. Yeah. All right. I just, again, my estimation is 30 or 40, maybe closer to 40 or 50 chapters until Klein gets the magician pathway, sequence 7, which will be cool. All right, let's do this. Do another 10 chapters. Fuck you. I have to make a video for tomorrow. I can't just keep, I can't just keep doing this. Again, like, for me, the streams are more secondary to the videos. Dude, who the fuck is this guy? Hold on, sorry, a 24-hour non-stop stream. Fuck you guys. Okay. Hold on. I just want to pull up something really quickly that just came up. I just wanted to show you guys. This looks cool. That looks fine. Whatever. I just thought this was really cool. I was just pulling up my my thing on the side. Look at this. Look at this comment that just came in. I don't know who this guy is, but this is so goated. I skipped French for the stream. Yeah, we'll keep going, Nagi. So no worries. I just thought this was like, look at this. Dawn was set to air this summer. It's expected to have 13 seasons plus 2 special seasons. Tencent has already confirmed that the anime will have at least 5 seasons. To the best of my knowledge, that's not what happened. I think Tencent's or like the author said, like, or the director, some fucking high level guy said that we would need to do at least 5 seasons if we wanted to animate it well. I think it was something to that effect that was said. That's not technically what was said, but whatever. Duration of each episode will be 30 minutes. I think that's been confirmed by a couple of people. First episode adapted 14 chapters from, I don't fucking know. But like, dude, like this is so cool to me. Like, that's just a username? Oh, is it? Like, dude, like this community is so fucking into it. I love this. This is awesome. Let's provoke him into reading more. Yeah, trust me, guys. I'm not, I don't feel it that deeply, I promise. Alright, let's keep going. After this, I'm probably gonna, yeah, let's get, actually, you know what, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna run to the washroom really quick. We are a cult, yes. Fucking clearly. I'll be right back, okay? I'm just gonna run to the washroom. Give me a second. Alright, we're back. That wasn't that bad. Okay. Oh, by the way, which one do you guys prefer? Sorry, I'm gonna do this every single day. It's gonna be, we'll do a poll. You gotta get to at least 267. Those will have some great lore. We'll get to 267 today. We're not getting to 267 right fucking now. No shot. We'll get to like 263 or 264 or some shit. And then we'll, and then we can get to like 270, 271 in the afternoon. And then we can get to like 285, 286 tomorrow. And then like 300 the day after. That'd be dope. Like Monday or Tuesday. Monday we're at like 300. That'd be pretty fucking cool. Alright. Alright. What's the, I'm gonna end the poll. What do we get to? Where are we at? New. Okay, new one's better. Alright. No! Go away. No. Alright, dope. Let's keep going. Then do a stream at the same time you did today. Ramiro, I'm happy to, or like last stream, yeah. I'm happy to, but it, like Easy said, he's gonna be back and he's probably gonna stream today, and so he streams around that time. So I won't do it around that time in that case. It just depends. 259. Underground structure. After signing a contract with Millet Carter and receiving an advance payment of £10, Klein didn't rush out to William Street immediately. Instead, he made an appointment for 4 in the afternoon. Millet was understanding with regard to this. Alone, Detective Moriarty definitely had to recruit people to carry out the exploration. When the old gentleman left, Klein immediately returned to the dining table to cut a steak which had turned cold before wolfing it down. Seriously, why doesn't he need to eat lunch? Why must he pick such a time to come? After barely, so you'll get to like 400 in a week? No, not quite that much. But hopefully, we'll average like 15 chapters a day to like 75 chapters a week. So we can get to like 400 in like by the end of next week, maybe. But again, that also relies on the fact that I don't have to take a hiatus for my granddad. So, you know, it just depends. If I do have to do that, I'll let you guys know. And then if there's nothing really cool coming up, I'll try to just post them as videos instead of doing it live. Or I can like post it and then, yeah, something like that, Nagato, on average. At 2 in the afternoon, Mrs. Mary arrived as scheduled. Her eyes were slightly red and puffy. Her face was gloomy. Stella and Sammer, who accompanied her, had no choice but to maintain a silence. Am I a dragon of imagination? Klein handed over an envelope containing his carefully chosen photo. Madam, please confirm it. Mary paused for 2 seconds and took a deep breath, then opened the envelope and examined it. Excellent. Very excellent. You're the most efficient and responsible detective I've ever met. I'm honored to introduce you as a member of the Quelaag Club. This is the remaining £7 of the payment. You deserve it. Mary took out a wallet from her leather bag, counted out a £5 and two £1 notes. Then, without waiting for Klein's response, she stuffed the photo into an envelope, put it in her handbag, and abruptly got up to leave. Her buttonless boots made hurried sounds as she stomped on them. Stella and Sammer struggled to keep up. As she opened the door, Mary stumbled and almost fell, but fortunately Stellan caught her. With this episode, Mary clearly slowed down and seemed to turn calm. Madam, you forgot to take the portable camera. I'll give it to Mrs. Sammer later. She'll bring it to you. Klein silently watched the scene, silently shaking his head without saying anything. He returned to the second floor, took a nap, and woke up comfortably with the bell chimes of the nearby church. Klein had already searched for a map after confirming William Street was at the border of the Westboro and the Empress Borough, a residential area in the heart of Backland. A nice house in Westboro and Hillston Borough cost nearly £2,500. Millet Carter's house is close to the Empress Borough, and it's a nice former property of a viscount. The area is very sizable. The total purchase price must be £3,500, maybe even £5,000. That'll be enough for a pretty decent mystical item. Devil, how's it going, man? He definitely came visiting me without a housekeeper or an attendant. Perhaps because he's new in Backland and hasn't settled in. Pics or it didn't happen. Klein put on his double-breasted coat, hat, and held his cane before heading out into Minsk Street. The gas lamps hadn't been lit yet, and the streets were surprisingly darker than the evenings. However, the air was fairly all right, without the suffocating air the boroughs brought to the east. Yes, it's Viscount, yes. Taking a rental carriage, he went all the way to William Street. Klein saw a waiting valet outside the Unit 8 house. The valet, who had dressed in a red vest and a light-colored trouser, bowed respectfully at the incoming visitor. Good afternoon. May I inquire if you're Detective Moriarty? Yes, I have an appointment with Mr. Carter. Klein nodded and followed the valet into the mansion with a garden and lawn. The house was 2 stories tall. The first floor was a mess with a lot of construction materials everywhere. There were workers coming in and out doing some modification. Millet Carter wasn't wearing a hat. Covering his nose, he walked over. I'm very sorry about the mess and dirt, but I do wish that everything will be fine before my family arrives in Backland. I can only urge them to continue working non-stop. Having said that, he looked at the valet and instructed, continue watching them. It's no wonder that he didn't bring any servants with him. Even his servants have become supervisors, Klein smiled. I know a lot of doctors. They told me that the newly renovated house aren't suitable for immediate occupation. One has to wait at least 3 months to ventilate it well enough. Otherwise, old people and children who aren't strong enough will easily fall sick. Is that so? Millet led Klein to the basement and announced doubtfully. I've never verified it, but I choose to believe in authority. It's said that this originated from the words passed by Emperor Roselle. He casually fabricated an excuse. Millet nodded and turned to the door. He couldn't help but frown before asking, Mr. Moriarty, you didn't bring an assistant. There might be quite a bit of danger. I have an assistant. It's just that you can't see her, Klein lampooned. This is my first visit, so I'll advance very carefully. If there are problems, I'll immediately retreat. I'm experienced, so I won't put myself in dangerous situations. If I were matched with inexperienced assistants, it might affect my nimble and decisive action. Millet was startled. I haven't even started on the Nagito documents. I'm busy with my web novel. Nagito is getting the full public defender experience around here. You're very professional. A professional bluff. Without any further documents, Millet led Detective Moriarty through the cluttered living room and down the stairs of a fairly spacious basement. There were no gas pipes, but 4 metal candlesticks that set into the wall. Why do I think this is like the secret underground layer of a secret organization or some shit? Old one, so I don't think there's going to be like anything dangerous down there, but there might be some like hidden clues that he can get through divination or something. Stepping on the pavement on the ground, Klein couldn't help but sigh in reflection. As expected of a noble's property, even the basement has been nicely decorated. Or even still, the Viscount could have been a Beyonder himself and just been like his personal study away from his house or something. Furthermore, it's almost as big as the living room of my current house. At this moment, Millet pointed ahead and said, "There's a secret door over there. It was discovered by the workers when they were renovating." Klein focused his gaze with the not very bright candlelight. He saw a grey stone in the corner. It should have been part of the wall, but it was now exposed. "I'll leave the rest to you. Be safe," the old gentleman said. "Has this place been ventilated ahead of time?" "It's not particularly stuffy inside, but I didn't let the workers go too far." "All right." Klein checked his belongings, put on his black gloves, and under Millet's gaze, unhurriedly carried the lantern and approached the stone door. He pushed it open with his cane. Amidst the heavy creaking sound, through the light outside, he saw a deep-colored passageway paved with stone. There were several wooden doors on both sides of the passageway, and at the end, he had already begun to rot, but they were still barely usable. Not too ancient, however, the ostentatious style of the door and the depth of the thickness of the stone slabs don't match. Did the Viscount's family change it before? Klein quietly activated his spirit vision, gripped his cane, and walked forward, step by step with the lantern in his hand. Alright, let's see what I don't believe, Dr. Z. Let's find out. The light dispersed the darkness. When he passed by the room on either side, he was able to see a somewhat empty scene through the open door, which was open during the exploration of the workers Millet had hired. There was also a long bench and a table that shared the same aesthetic as the door. There were no signs of spirits flashing by. Klein did a brief inspection without stopping. He proceeded to come to the end of the hall where a stone slab door was. Stretching out his gloved right hand, he clamped his cane and slowly pushed down against the door. A jarring sound of friction began to reverberate through the air as the stone door slowly cracked open. Spirit light suddenly appeared in Klein's eyes, reflecting the intertwined aura of the different colors. There are no signs. Okay, he stretched out his right hand. Okay. His heart tightened as he pushed the door open before taking a few steps back. The crack in the stone door widened rapidly, and a slimy black creature fell from above. It was a snake with a triangular head and a red floral pattern on its head. What the fuck is this? It straightened its upper body, shut out its tongue, and looked at Klein with cold brown eyes. One snake after another fell from above the door as they piled up at the entrance. Klein saw a large hall beyond them. In the middle of the hall, countless snakes of various colors slithered together, forming an exaggerated nest of snakes about 10 meters wide. The slimy, disgusting feelings assaulted his senses. Snakes. The only secret organization that I can think even has anything to do with the snakes is the Demoness cult, because the primordial Demoness has like snakes as her hair, right? I can't think of any other thing that has. I can't think of any other organization that has anything to do with snakes off the top of my head, but I might be missing something. Klein felt his scalp turn numb, but he couldn't help but take 2 steps back. What the actual fuck is happening here? Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. My second monitor is making me lose my mind. Sorry, give me 1 second. Alright, there we go. Good lord, that took a second. Sorry about that. Klein felt his scalp turn numb as he couldn't help but take 2 steps back. He even wanted to look away without daring to look directly ahead. Although he was a man, he was still scared of snakes. What does you being a man have to do with you being afraid of snakes? Everyone's scared of snakes, bro. There's nothing to do with manliness. Snakes were the animal that he was most afraid of. This stemmed from a psychological trauma in the past. When he was a child, despite being way past his bedtime, he liked to secretly open the door to his room and watch movies with his parents through a crack. Unfortunately, his parents once watched a snake disaster movie, a scene involving a demolition of a building and the result of the unearthing of a large nest of snakes, and the dense squirming remained deeply imprinted on his mind. Not real men sleep in snake nests. You know what, Kami? Pics or it didn't happen, bitch. Can a slumber charm affect so many snakes? Klein swallowed hard and said to the air, "You have any solutions?" Miss Bodyguard in a black gothic dress appeared by his side, but didn't say a thing. Klein looked at her and suddenly looked back at, and she looked back at Klein, but no one spoke. When a snake slowly slithered out, he repeated, "Do you have any solutions?" She didn't answer, but instead floated, and suddenly a cold wind blew in the passageway. The wind howled as it blew into the hall, the temperatures rapidly dropping as it approached the temperature of the outside world. The densely packed snakes in the middle slithered in all directions, searching for a warmer, more suitable spot to survive, because they're cold-blooded, so cold, and they'll just fucking either go to sleep or they'll die. 2 or 3 minutes later, a layer of frost formed on the surface of the... Wait, that's not true. Actually, I might just be making that up. Are snakes... Yes, snakes are cold-blooded. Never mind. Okay. 2 or 3 minutes later, a layer of frost formed on the surface of the hall and the passageway, and countless snakes had disappeared without much of a trace. They continued, as Klein said, chattering. Huh? Sorry. There's a typo here. That's quite enough. The surging cold wind slowed down, but the cold didn't subside. Miss Bodyguard's figure disappeared once again. Klein lifted his cane-wielding right hand, covered his mouth and nose, and sneezed, then raised the lantern and cautiously walked through the stone door into the wide hall. But different language? What language, Nightwalker? The style here was identical to the passageway outside. There were 8 circular columns of the same color erected there. Metal poles hung from the high dome, and at the bottom were candlesticks carved into the different creature. You know, if I had a penny for every Lord of the Mysteries novel reading streamer, I'd have 3 pennies, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened thrice. An upside-down candlestick. As a university student of the history department, a person who could barely be called an elite in the field, Klein made a preliminary judgment, a structure of the 4th epoch. 260. The history circles of the northern continent countries all recognized that the 4th epoch was shrouded in thick mystery. It was impossible to tell what it truly was. Is that a coincidence? There are no coincidences, Nagito. You are all part of the game written by the Quill. The history records had too many missing pieces and ambiguities for this period of history. There were too many tombs, ancient cities, and literature that had been unearthed to create an effective confirmation. Lower coming, based. However, this didn't mean that no one had done the relevant research. Its rarity implied that there were still relics and information left behind. The original Klein was a fanatic towards the history of the Fourth Epoch. He often read journals, articles, and books, and even now, Klein still remembered a lot of content. Obviously, write everything in the building. Right, of course, yeah. Whether it was the Solomon Empire, Tudor Empire, Troanst Empire, they all had similar architectural styles that went against common sense. They were disorderly, asymmetrical, and all stood out for their frequent use of black. The most typical characteristic were the candlesticks hanging from the ceilings and the chopped floral pattern marks on the black walls. I doubt that's important, but I will write it down all the same. You know what? I'd rather have too much information than not enough. Just write the whole chapter down, yeah. Asymmetrical. By the way, username, was that someone said that was you that left that comment on the reaction of the trailers? Was that you? And chopped floral pattern. Wait, can I copy? Oh my god, I can copy and paste now. Holy shit, yes. Oh my god, thank you, Nagito. Sorry, there was a pattern. There was a comment on the most recent, on the video about reacting to all the, wait, did someone fucking lie to me? There was a comment, listing, like, a lot of stuff about the, Donwa that was gonna come out, about Lord of the Mysteries, and someone said that was you. Don't think so? Okay, no worries. Alright, then someone just fucking lied to me. Alright, whatever. I will... You know what? I will go back and I'll find who that was, and I will remember that for the next time, okay? Advancing through the note-taker pathway? Yes, power of copy-paste. I'm so excited. Oh my god, I can copy and paste now. You don't understand what a huge quality of life thing this is. Several journals mentioned that the number of candlesticks with different buildings are different. Although the three empires find asymmetry beautiful, they seem to have strict and meticulous rules. 3 on the left and 2 on the right is the highest standard that ordinary citizens can enjoy. This is based on the structure of the building and houses that remain. I said that it was username because it's the same thing. Okay. I don't know if that's important, but you know what? We'll copy paste it anyway. Fuck it. Might as well have too much than not enough. Who even cares? Fuck it. The hall was wider than he had expected. He had walked for at least 100 miles before he saw a platform, half a meter down above the ground. Only then did he see the thick wall that marked the end of the hallway. 41 inverted candlesticks on the left and 40 on the right. That's a bit of an exaggeration. What level of aristocracy is this? Powerful nobility? The Antigonus and Zaratul family are all aristocrats of the Fourth Epoch. They were also powerful and terrifying Beyonder family clans. The other noble families should be about the same. Holding the lantern in each hand, Clan continued onward. He saw the stairs on the side. I'm just gonna copy this part. Again, It seems obvious, but fuck it, rather have it than not. Ooh, something exciting's coming up. Cool. Is this a relic of the fourth epoch? A thought flashed up through Klein's mind. With his keen eyesight in the light of the lantern, he found two iron black seats on the top of the platform. That was half a meter above the ground. The huge ancient seats overlooked the seats below. There were two seats. Why two? According to the layout, a seat here should represent the person with the most power and authority, but there are two of them. A powerful noble of equal strength? A double count, double duke, or double prince? Klein slowly began to feel that his knowledge of history was inadequate. He clearly remembered that the journal entries mentioned that there were three empires: Solomon, Tudor, Truonst, and had a strict hierarchy. Based on this history, there shouldn't be leaders of equal standing within a faction. Strange. Klein mumbled in a way meant for Miss Bodyguard. I can't trust mods after what Ramiro did yesterday? Wait, what did he do? What's so strange about that? An ethereal voice sounded behind him in the vast, dark, empty in the ancient halls. This voice was exceptionally frightening. Klein's mouth twitched as he explained the characteristic. History, knowledge, and puzzling points that he had observed to her. He eventually added, "The ventilation here is good. I wonder if there are other entrances." Miss Bodyguard, who had blended into the darkness, listened silently as she gave Klein a penetrating glance. "How do you know so much?" "Because I was a university student in the history department." That's not great. Wait, where am I? Klein cursed before silently smiling. "If I hadn't chosen to be a detective, perhaps I would have been a diligent young historian." Miss Bodyguard didn't respond, nor did she disappear. Instead, she floated up to the platform. With the lantern in hand, Klein quickly followed, discovering that the platform was very large. It was about 40 meters in length and 10 meters in breadth. The architectural style is grand and enlarged. It's also one of the characteristics of the fourth epoch, he casually said as he approached the two huge iron chairs. It seems to be meant for a 3-meter-tall giant to sit on. There's an emblem on the back of the chair. On this side, it's a black crown. On the other, it's a hand holding a specter. I wonder what they symbolize on their own. However, the lady who was floating said this is the Tudor family emblem. Okay, so the black crown makes me think of the... What was it? Makes me think of the Black Emperor of the Solomon Empire. That's what I imagine with that. The Tudor family emblem. Tudor... yes, thank you, Nagato. Miss Bodyguard shook her head without saying a word. Seeing this, Klein had... Okay. Klein had given up the idea of studying it for the time being and said after the Tudor and Truonst Empire established their respective empires, they both maintained the original style that originated of the Solomon Empire, such as inverted candlesticks, scuffed marks, so on and so forth. This doesn't comply with common sense. If I were an emperor, even if I had to inherit many things, I would still make certain changes to mark my uniqueness. Okay. I told him to copy paste the entire chapter. Okay, I'm not going to quite do that, but yes. Does this mean that the three emperors have hidden, unchanging connections? He guessed that Solomon, Tudor, and Truonst Empire wielded the Black Emperor, which was the lawyer pathway. Similar styles were needed for acting. Interesting. I'll write that down too, for fuck's sakes. Actually, I might just actually have to copy-paste the entire chapter. Who the fuck even knows at this point? Miss Bodyguard remained silent for a few seconds before saying, "Only an emperor can be called an emperor." What the fuck does that even mean? It's like, that's like the joke you guys were making today. Like, making yesterday, rather. Like, a lawyer must lawyer. Like, what the fuck is that sentence? What are we talking about? Is this a confirmation of my idea? Klein didn't ask any more questions. Sorry. Oh my god. With the lantern in hand, he circled the two huge iron black chairs, but he didn't discover anything else. "Let's look ahead," Klein suggested. Before he finishes his sentence, Miss Bodyguard had already floated towards the end of the platform, but the surrounding gloominess and coldness remained unchanged. A few meters ahead, Klein saw, with the help of the lantern glow, 7 large, heavy black stone doors at the base of the hall. They were lined up, 2 on the left, 1 in the middle, 4 on the right, perfectly in line with the Fourth Epoch's pursuit of asymmetry. Klein passed the cane in hand, tossed the coin at random, and said, "I should begin from the left." Coin tumbled down with the portrait facing up. "Let's go to the left." He said that about the Black Emperor acting in his head, and what she said seems to have confirmed it. Can she read his mind, or was it just lucky? Miss Bodyguard silently followed until they reached the door on the far left before saying ethereally, "It's the same on the right." In other words, it doesn't matter whether I did a divination or not. The corner of Klein's mouth curled up as he raised the lantern and examined the symbols on the door. With a deep black background, it was a half-crimson moon that was surrounded by radiant points of light. This is the dark sacred emblem, the symbol of the Evernight goddess. Whoa. The plot thickens. Will I keep saying that? Yes. Is it probably annoying to all of you? Probably. During the Fourth Epoch, the Church of the Evernight had supported the Tudor dynasty? He thought, alright, that's going in the fucking thing. God damn it. Put the question mark in just in case. He thoughtfully placed his hand on the stone door. The black stone door slowly opened amidst the rough and heavy grinding sounds. The light from the lantern shone into the room. Klein began to see the interior, bit by bit. There was a few meters of open space at the entrance. They also paved with dark stone tiles and a platform nearly a meter high. Klein cautiously moved forward, holding up the lantern to illuminate the item on the platform. A few seconds later, a fiery radiance formed the outline of a huge structure. It was 4 or 5 meters long and almost filled the entire room. It was an extremely beautiful lady with a hazy face. Her right hand supported her head as she lay down on the platform. She wore a layered black classical dress that wasn't overly complex. There was a circle of radiating rays above her head. I would have thought this was the Evernight goddess, but it can't be that because of the radiating rays at the bottom of her head. Interesting. On this lady's... Sorry. On this lady's dress, there were sparkling specks of radiance. They were pieces of dark and resplendent gems. At first glance, Klein felt as though he was seeing into the night and stars. Never mind, this might be the Evernight goddess. This was outlined by the circular shape under the lady's head that resembled a full moon. It's the Evernight goddess. Klein's thoughts seemed to freeze, but it immediately plowed from within. Evernight goddess? Miss Bodyguard's voice carried a hint of puzzlement. Alright, I will copy this too. Symbol of the Evernight goddess, or statue of the Evernight goddess, much more accurately. Fuck, not that. Be it the symbolism or the actual form, it seems to be the sculpture of the goddess. Klein's guess finally took shape, echoing loudly in his mind. He remembered asking Captain Dunn about one of the differences between a god and an evil god and a true god. The former said that to have an image that resembled that of an intelligent life form, but the latter only had sacred emblems formed by symbols. Well, that seems to imply that there's no such thing as a evil or good god. It's just like how they're viewed at a certain point in time. Interesting. Now you can see the artwork for the Evernight Goddess. Oh my god, that'd be awesome. But today at the what does this mean? Could it be that the goddess was once an evil god? No, maybe it's some other evil god that falls into the knight's domain. However, the dark emblem by the door is no different than the one used presently, or perhaps having the image of an intelligent being isn't a standard of distinguishing true and evil gods. After all, the captain wasn't high enough, and his understanding of the situation wasn't necessarily accurate. Only one artwork of her, though, since the rest have spoilers. Oh, this is so dog shit. What the fuck? It's also possible that the Tudors were deliberately blaspheming the goddess. Doubt it. Yes, it could also be a way of setting up strange rituals. Many thoughts flashed past Klein's mind. It left him puzzled, nervous, and tense. However, he felt a strange feeling that couldn't be described. After looking around, Klein, who didn't see anything else, took a deep breath and said, "Let's go to the other doors and take a look. I wonder what the other 6 doors correspond to. Would it be equally strange and evil?" I would imagine it would be like the ones, the goddesses that the other empires pray to, and like their statues and stuff. There's 3 of them. One of them, and there's 3 doors, so that could be Solomon Empire, Tudor Empire, Tronst Empire. If they all pray to different gods, then they all have different statues and stuff. So what is up there? We're good. Whew. Okay, so we might stop at like 262 or something. Just a reminder, during the 4th epoch, the god of steam and machinery wasn't born. Thank you. The other Orthodox gods? Yeah, whichever gods they pray to. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe they pray to the true creator. Or the hidden sage or some shit. Who the fuck even knows? When he was out of the room, Klein carefully held his cane and lantern in the same hand, leaving his left hand free so that he could retrieve the contents of his pockets as quickly as possible in the event there was a sudden turn of events. That's just a dumb way to phrase that. Much better would be as quickly as possible if there was a sudden turn of events. Not as wordy. Hidden Sage wasn't born yet either? Who the fuck? Oh, God. I hate this. Inside there were charms, Azek's copper whistle, and some tarot cards. Apart from the remaining Rosagos characteristic, the all-black eye, his pocket contained all the means available to him. Klein and Miss Bodyguard had barely taken a step to the side when the light of the lantern illuminated the emblem on the door next to them. It was a simple drawing of a baby surrounded by the symbols of wheat, flowers, and spring water. The sacred emblem of the Earth Mother, Klein said in a solemn voice. All right, that death was still... simple drawing from... Sorry. As a former Nighthawk, one of his most basic skills was to be able to distinguish the symbols of other churches. Miss Bodyguard nodded slightly as though to confirm. Her black regal dress looked even more eerie and terrifying in such an environment and atmosphere. Her pale face looked like a grieving wraith under the illumination of their lantern. If any other adventurer were to come here and see this scene, they would definitely flee while stumbling out of fear. Holding his breath, Klein reached out with his left hand, pushed the stone door, and raised the lantern high. He found the layout very similar to the first, like a perfect fusion of a small prayer room and a giant statue. Across the empty wheat-colored stone tiles, Klein illuminated the steps ahead of him with a lantern. On the platform, there was a white stone sculpture about 4 or 5 meters tall. It was a plump and beautiful lady with ears of wheat growing from her feet. And she was ears of wheat surrounded by her feet. Amazing. Love that. And she was surrounded by spring water. Her dress seemed to flutter, and embedded in it were different herbs and flowers, as well as the depiction of different animals. The lady's chest was raised high, and her arms were in her arms was an adorable infant in swaddling clothes. She stood there, tall and sacred. Don't tell me this is the statue of the Earth Mother. Miss Bodyguard neither confirmed nor denied. After confirming their surroundings, the duo left the room and opened the third door. Behind this door was a corridor that allowed 4 people to walk alongside each other. Ahead of them, it was dark and deep, filled with mysteries and oddities. It was unknown where it led. Let's confirm the situation behind the 4 doors on the right, Klein suggested. He didn't dare to rashly enter. Using her actions as an answer, she floated backwards. The duo opened the 4 stone door on the right in succession. They separately saw the storm sacred symbol, which was made up of a symbol of gales and stormy waves. The sacred symbol of the sun, which was surrounded by lines. The sacred symbols of the god of combat, which was made up by the combination of symbols for the dusk and a sword-shaped symbol, as well as the sacred symbol of knowledge and wisdom, which was represented by an open book and omniscient eye. In contrast, there were 4 statues of deities in the rooms. Even in the door, it's not symmetrical. A dignified middle-aged man in black armor standing over the churning waves, lord of the storms. There was a young man in pure white robes holding a book of deeds and a golden sphere, which resembled the sun in the other. Sacred emblem of the sun. Warrior sitting on the throne high above, holding a sword in front of him. Church of Combat, or God of Combat rather. His face was hidden behind the helmet's visor, and his entire body covered in an indescribable sense of decay. There was a hooded elder holding a book, the God of Knowledge and Wisdom. Holding a book and an omniscient eye, with only his mouth, wrinkles, and long beard exposed. Apart from the god of steam and machinery, there were 6 humanoid statues of the orthodox gods in these strange halls. So, considering this weak position of the Church of Steam and Machinery before the appearance of Roselle, there seemed to be some sort of explanation regarding this problem. Hold on. Okay. This is really strange, Klein exclaimed with a sigh. Partially because he couldn't stop it, and partially because he was testing Miss Bodyguard's reaction. This grand hall, which seemed 100 meters deep, actually had 6 of the Orthodox gods collected in it. This was something unimaginable in the current era. I am still processing, Ramiro. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to come back and read these 2 chapters again later. How could the Church of the 6 True Gods allow their gods to live in the same structure as the other gods? Well, why not? It was a custom that only existed during the 4th epoch. And what's with those humanoid statues? Although they look normal, unlike the sinister primordial demoness and true creator statues, they still give off a weird vibe. Just what had happened to make the images of the 6 gods evolve into abstract symbols in this day and age? No, perhaps it's been like this all this time, but the master of this place, a noble suspected to be a member of the Tudor family, purposely created statues for some purpose. I thought of an item from a novel from my previous life, the Six Soul Banner. While he waited for Miss Bodyguard's reply, Klein's mind wandered. Miss Bodyguard didn't answer his query and instantly said, "There's another door." That's right. In his opinion, doors placed in the center often had a special meaning, perhaps the core of the ancient building. Of course, this also meant the situation was most likely the most dangerous. What are your thoughts on that area? Yes, thank you, Nagito. Under the situation of not being able to use the Grey Fog to eliminate any interference, he felt that Miss Bodyguard's spiritual perception and instincts were more reliable than the divination means at this point. After all, she was in a very special state, close to that of a spiritual body, allowing her to communicate with the spiritual world without obstruction. Very dangerous. But the danger is subdued. Once you venture deeper, don't touch anything. This makes it feel like there's an evil being that's like, maybe the six gods were present to try to contain some kind of evil spirit or something, or like their statues were present. Subdued danger. Is this the equivalent to having something sealed inside? Klein guessed. He and Miss Bodyguard walked to the center stone door and stepped onto the dark floor. The light of the lantern seemed to dim as though it found it difficult to drive out the darkness ahead. Klein had his left hand in his pocket, holding Azek's copper whistle and a few charms. After about 30 steps, Miss Bodyguard suddenly stopped. Klein raised his lantern on his right hand and saw that the road ahead was blocked by boulders and dirt. This makes it feel like there was a evil god, and there was a god there that eventually they realized was evil and tried to just kind of bury him. Like, we don't deal with that one. On the left and on the right were two stone doors in the same shape as the ones in the main hall. The right side was ajar. The right side was ajar and filled with mud and stone. Perhaps this ancient structure was above ground back then, but for some reason it sank and collapsed. For some reason it was collapsed. I think. Before he could finish his words, Miss Bodyguard floated ahead, stick to the huge rock infused with it, and disappeared. Klein's mouth twitched as he began to patiently wait. After a few minutes, Miss Bodyguard came out of the mud on the right, her body completely free of dust. "It's completely collapsed," she concluded. For a moment, Klein was speechless and could only smile. Following that, the two of them simultaneously looked to the left, where there was a ajar stone door. There was a tiny crack. Klein went closer and looked through the 3-centimeter gap. His spirit vision, which had originally been blocked by the stone door, immediately discovered something. There was at least 4 bright and powerful spiritual lights inside. 2 that were close to dark gold in color, and 2 that were dark blue like the sea. Using his spirit vision, a narrow scene appeared in Klein's normal vision. The firelight that entered the room illuminated the black stone tiles. On top of the tiles were piles of bones covered with rotting clothing, and a few of them emanated gold dark and dark blue light. Condensed Beyonder characteristics? Mystical items? As these thoughts flashed past his mind, Klein swept his gaze to the room. Along the dark wall stood a double door, a bloody pair of double doors. There seemed to be remnants of fresh blood on the door. They continued sliding down as though they reflected the light. Klein wanted to let Miss Bodyguard scout the way ahead when he suddenly felt a change in Azek's copper whistle that he was holding. The originally cold and mild whistle suddenly became bone-piercing. It was a profound feeling of death. Did they seal fucking death in here? What is happening? What? Klein narrowed his eyes and instinctively took a step back. Then he noticed that his right forearm was numb and itchy and that it was beginning to swell. A scene flashed through his mind as he immediately took out a tarot card with his left hand and slashed across his arm. What surged out from his wound wasn't blood, but a tiny black squirming worm. When these worms fell to the ground, they eroded in smoke. They struggled and huddled, but in the end, they melted under the glow of the lanterns. After a few seconds, the black worms in Klein's wound finally flowed out, leaving only crimson liquid. What the fuck is happening here? He wriggled his muscles to control the small wound and prevented the blood from flowing further. Miss Bodyguard watched the scene quietly, her pretty eyebrows creasing with a rarely seen frown. Klein was about to speak when he discovered the coldness and deadliness of Azek's copper whistle hadn't abated. At the same time, the gaze landed on Miss Bodyguard's shadow. She never had a shadow to begin with. "Run," Klein shouted, and immediately ran towards the hall. Miss Bodyguard quickly floated up, and the two of them saw the lantern light in front of them gradually being swallowed up by the black shadow. Klein ran like a hurricane as fast as he could while the light around him faded. The shadow grew bigger and bigger, closer and closer, thicker and thicker. The light from the flame was about to be completely engulfed. At that moment, the door was still a few meters away. At that moment, Klein instinctively rushed forward and then rolled across the door. The light from the fire suddenly brightened, and the unease in his heart instantly disappeared. Azek's copper whistle also returned to its mild and cold state. Miss Bodyguard floated beside him as she turned around and sunk into the darkness. She said with an uncertain tone, "Evil spirit?" Evil spirit? Klein almost drew a deep breath when he heard that. Fortunately, as a clown, he was good at controlling his expressions. In the field of mysticism, evil spirits were extremely terrifying monsters. The best of them could even be said to be on the same level as high-sequence beyonders. An evil spirit that's wandering this ancient structure? For some reason, it's bound or imprisoned within that room. If it was an evil spirit, that explains why Azek's copper whistle responded. An evil spirit could be considered an undead creature. Klein stood up but looked at his path, which was now submerged in darkness. He felt as though there was a pair of cold eyes staring at him. What the fuck? Hold the phone. This is crazy. What the fuck was that? Is he gonna come back with like Azek's help? Because who else do you get to help with this? A normal man would just say, "Hey, that underground is cursed. Never go down there. Seal it with cement, and that's it." But I doubt Klein's gonna do that, so the good question is, what the fuck do we do? I mean, that's what I would do. I'd just be like, "Hey, listen, never go down there, seal it with cement, and just, pretend it's not there. It's fine. You didn't know it was there to begin with, so no harm, no foul, really." In the cold and gloomy hall, Klein suddenly shivered. Your disagreement is contradicted by the reality and laws of the world. He retracted his gaze and said to Miss Bodyguard, "Let's return. From the way Azek's copper whistle reacted, it's likely that the room contains a terrifying spirit. It's at the level above that of the marionettist or the vice admiral. It's been roaming these confines for centuries to thousands of years. Perhaps it's already equivalent to high-sequence beyonders. If it wasn't for experiencing difficulties in letting its power escape the room, I would already be dead. Even if Miss Bodyguard's a powerful Sequence 5, there's no hope for us to turn the tide of battle with our powers. One needs to be aware of one's strength. I cannot be enticed by the suspected Beyonder characteristic and mystical items there. Greed leads to death." Miss Bodyguard turned her head and looked at him. Without much emotion, she said, "What's next?" Next, Klein silently gritted his teeth. Let Millet Carter get the police. Who knows when this evil spirit will escape? It's best to finish it off as soon as possible. Mr. Carter doesn't know enough. By informing the police this way, the police department won't pay attention to it. The first batch of people who come in here will suffer heavy casualties, and they might even indirectly help the evil spirit escape. Also, for me to see these statues, a detective like me might be silenced. Did you see the bones and spiritual light in the room? She once again cast her gaze towards the dark path behind the ajar stone door and silently nodded. Klein thought quickly and said, "My guess is that there are corpses from the explorers from before. They were killed by the evil spirit in that room. One of the Beyonders left behind some mystical items. They might even have something to do with the Viscount family that lived beyond these premises. I suspect I plan to inquire about their last name, go to the library and look for information about their descendants, perhaps get some information." Lord. My nose is so itchy. After coming to a preliminary confirmation of the situation, I'll make a choice based on the severity of the situation. I might get some explosives, destroy the door, or send an anonymous letter to the police. Detailing the existence of the evil spirits, but I have to think of a way to avoid the risk in the future. This isn't urgent. I can take my time. Miss Bodyguard quietly listened to what Klein had to say. Looking ahead, she said in an ethereal voice, "Are you not considering to get people to exorcise the evil spirit? Even if there were no mystical items left behind, the remains of the evil spirit dissipates are still precious enough." "It's the first time I've seen you talk this much." "Probably. The risk is too high. I think my life and health are more important." He organized his words and added, "The most powerful person I know is you, and your performance just now, you don't seem to be a match for that evil spirit. I can't imagine any other way of finishing it off than calling the police." "You still have some sense," she commented calmly, then drifted towards the exit of the ancient hall. Other than being suspected to be under the true creator's influence, in what way do I look like a madman? Klein silently lampooned. He held the lantern and cane, followed Miss Bodyguard. Throughout the entire process, he felt like he was being watched by the cold eyes of the corridor. Wait, what did I ignore? I don't know. It was only when they walked out of the stone door that suffused an ancient aura that did that feeling suddenly disappear. Nothing. All right. Klein turned away and closed the door, sealing the inverted candlesticks, scuffed marks, and creepy statues of the six deities, allowing them to continue their 1,000-year-long slumber in that unchanging darkness and silence. He's looking at Discord and Nightwalker is assisting spoilers? Patting the dust off his clothes, he switched the lantern in the other hand and returned to Millet Carter's basement. As for the bodyguard, she disappeared into thin air as usual. Millet Carter was pacing about in his basement and asked, "How is it? What's the situation there?" "Terrible. There are a lot of snakes, and many spots have collapsed. I plan to gather some information and some manpower, and once some preparations are done, do another round of exploration. During this period of time, it's best that you don't send anyone in. Believe me, there are more venomous snakes in there than you can imagine." Millet drew a grasp and asked, Will they slither out? Do you know any experts that can deal with snakes?" Klein nodded. "I'll get people to help and try my best to deal with this matter. It's the cold autumn now, and the snakes aren't willing to move. As long as you don't send anyone to disturb them, nothing will happen." "Okay, please hurry. I'll close the door and prevent anyone from entering." Hearing that, Millet relaxed a little. "You ignored the message you should have ignored?" Alright, look at that. I did a divination before I started stream. I knew to ignore a message at 1:30. Sorry, give me one sec. Klein saw that his employer was truly intimidated by what he said. He quickly put the lantern down, nudged his gold-rimmed spectacles, and said, "Next up, I'll gather some information. I'll need some preliminary understanding of the underground structure before I explore it again." That requires you to tell me what the Viscount, which Viscount was the original owner of this house. Millet had brought this building precisely because it was an estate of a former noble, so he answered immediately, "Viscount Pound." "Do you know about him or his family?" Klein asked. Nice job, team. Yeah. Millet pondered and said, "Not much. I only know that he won his aristocratic title in the Battle of the Violated Oath. It once enjoyed an illustrious period, but decades later suddenly declined due to unknown reasons. The family kept losing its heirs and causing it to eventually have to seek out distant relatives to keep its aristocratic title. And the new Viscount Pound is..." "He squandered most of the family fortune, and he was demoted to baronet by the king. He's probably still in Backland and can go bankrupt at any moment." Your spiritual intuition told you do not look at it? Yeah, something like that. Baronet. What is that? Baronet is a hereditary title below baron but above knight. I learned something new today. Hopefully you did too. But not that important. I'm not writing that down. I don't care. Dr. Z, that's like if you watch Game of Thrones and you're like, oh my god, write it down. It was a battle during the Baratheon rebellion. Write the name down. It's like, fuck it, I don't care. It's the lowest title of nobility that can be bought with money. Interesting. The Battle of the Violated Oath, that began in 738 during the Fifth Epoch. Having successfully graduated as a history student, Klein instinctively recalled the corresponding knowledge. That war happened about 600 years ago and was a war involving religion. The southern Phaenopoder kingdom originally believed in both Mother Earth and God of Knowledge and Wisdom, but due to some influencing factors, the two churches began to be at odds with each other and their believers often clashed. During that period, its two neighbors in the north, the Lone Kingdom and the Intis Kingdom, seized the opportunity to start a war in the name of protecting freedom of religion. In the later stages of the war, the Faesac Empire joined the fray and attempted to destroy the plot by Lone Intis. However, they still failed to turn the situation around. Well, it did lead to the establishment of 3 countries, but nah, I don't care. Yeah. The conflict that lasted 5 years was called the Battle of the Violated Oath because both sides of the war accused their adversaries of violating the Holy Oath at the end of the Fourth Epoch. After that, there was more than 300 years of peace in the Northern Kingdom. That didn't mean there was no conflict, but rather there was no wars on that scale. It lasted until Roselle invented the steam engine and improved the sailboats and artillery. This is the information recorded in the history books. Thinking about it now, since it involved fate, there must be some Beyonders that are from the church involved. There must be some intense Beyonder wars. However, it said that the era was a period of few Beyonders, squadron battles. Could the Pound family suddenly waning and continuous loss of heirs, which happened decades ago, have something to do with the discovery of the ancient structure? Do you know where the Baronet lives? I'm sorry, I don't know. Miller shook his head. Klein asked a few more questions, but seeing that he couldn't get any more information, he bade farewell and returned home. It was almost 5 in the afternoon, and the sky was as dark as the night. Klein thought that the public library would have been closed by then, so he temporarily put aside the underground structure and prepared dinner. He wanted to learn about the Phaenopoder noodles based on the recipe in the newspaper, but ended up with noodles mixed in meat, sauce, and vegetables. To his surprise, it tasted pretty good. He just explained ramen, no? After having had his fill, Klein tossed a coin casually, divining if he should inform the police. He received a negative answer. Backland evening was as serene as other cities, at least in the Sherwood Borough. Klein was sleeping soundly, wandering through different dreams in a drift manner when he suddenly realized with a jolt that he was dreaming. Someone invaded my dreams. Klein resisted the urge to frown and pretended to look around in confusion. He found himself in a scorching yellow desert. A roar came from the sky and a huge monster died and black and gold flew over. The creature had a thick lizard-like body and a pair of wings covered in hide on its back. It descended and blotted out the sun in the sky. A dragon. A powerful dragon. Klein saw scales the size of a plate, a gaping mouth that emitted pure light, and two dark golden vertical pupils. The dragon spat out a beam of light that seemed to envelop everything. Soon, large swaths of the desert were obliterated. Amidst the light, a figure jumped into the air. He was 3 or 4 meters tall, but didn't have the unique vertical eyes of a giant. He had a handsome young face. He wore a black full-body armor which seemed to be splattered with blood. Interesting. I feel like this has something to do with the spirit you saw. The giant knight swung his broadsword upwards, and countless bluish-white flames, which appeared a little purple, condensed into long spears. They shot at the dragon. It was as if he had an entire army of illusory beyonders helping him. In the midst of the meteor shower, the giant knight leaped onto the head of the dragon, and he swung his sword down. The after images that it created instantly overlapped, and the sword turned into intersecting light. Seriously. Whatever, I'm not kidding. If there's a Beyonder pathway that allows me to become the Black Swordsman, I want that one. I don't care. The ground shook wildly and the dragon fell, splattering its blood. At that moment, the scene changed into a gold bloody door. It was the same bloody door that Klein had used in the ancient structure that very afternoon. With a creak, the bloody door opened, allowing him to catch a glimpse of the high-back chair. A man of normal height sat on the high-back chair, and his head lowered, silent and deathly still. Is this the Black Emperor? Who is this guy? As his vision got closer and closer, Klein saw the man's clothes clearly. He seemed to be a knight that had just killed the dragon, and he was still wearing the black armor stained with blood. The only difference was that he was no longer 3 or 4 meters tall. At this moment, the man suddenly raised his head. His handsome young face had a terrifying sign of decay. His eyes ice cold and emotionless. Klein jumped in fright and awoke from the dream. Opening his eyes, he saw the crimson moonlight shining through the curtains. Okay. Either one more or we end it here. What's better? Does anyone know? I don't want to start anything and then end it there. I'd rather just I don't want to start anything if it's not going to be finished this chapter, but if it's just like basic day-to-day stuff, we can end it. We can finish this one. Does anyone know? My lord. You can end it here. Artwork channel. Okay, so then we'll stop here. And then we'll do like 63 to 70 at night or something. I think it's okay now. It's day-to-day things for a while. End it here. Okay, dope. Artwork channel, and then we'll end it here. Nope. Yep. I got there this time, Nightwalker. I got there. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, sunshine. I got this. Seer. Okay, the pupilless eye, the contorted lines, we know this, very cool. Sailor, makes sense with the waves and stuff, no problem. pathway symbols. Yes, thank you. Savant. This also looks like dog shit, I will say. See you guys stream. I'm going first. No worries. Thanks for popping by, Jin. I appreciate it so much. You have a great rest of your day or night, buddy. Yeah, this one just looks like dog shit. I'm not going to lie to you. No wonder he was so pissed that he took this one. He's like, oh my god, it sucks. The sun. Oh, that is very cool. I like this. I'm only be there if the stream is early. No problem, Ramiro. Again, we'll play it by ear. If what do you call it? Easy's not streaming today, then we'll stream in like 4.5 hours, 4.5 maybe. If he is streaming, then we will. Then I'll do it and then I'll do it late at night. No problem. Corpse Collector. Oh, that's actually very cool. Way cooler than it. Actually, no. Corpse Collector is pretty cool. Azek has that one, so I don't mind. This is very cool. I like it. Criminal. Oh my god, my goat. Holy shit. We're taking this one, boys. We're taking this one. Holy shit. Oh my god. I want this one. I want the devil trigger. I don't care. I will commit heinous crimes in the name of my lord. I care for nothing. What is this one? Arbiter. Scales of justice sort of thing. Very cool. Arbiter, making sure that we can get like a good conclusion for both parties. That's pretty good too. I like it. I found Clown cooler. Mystery Prior. It's not great. I mean, this seems like a eye. Wait, who the fuck? Sorry, hold on. Sorry. Give me 1 second. What just happened? Oh, fuck. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, this one's not great. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like a eye, but then it also kind of vaguely reminds me of like a staff. Like if you think about it horizontally, like one of those staff that like mages have and stuff, like a wooden one. Where's shit. So yeah, that one's okay. Prisoner. That actually looks pretty cool too. But I don't know what a prisoner does. I know they're in jail. Sorry. I don't know what powers the pathway grants. This is kind of cool, you know, kind of held back and stuff. This looks kind of cool. I like it. Sleepless. This is kind of boring and uninspired, no? I don't like it that much. Not gonna lie. Monster. That looks kind of cool. They're in control of fate and they get to be called monster. Fuck yeah. Love that. Marauder. What do I know? Sorry, what do I know about Marauder? While I pull these up, I like to try to imagine what I know about them so that I can hopefully get a better memory about them. Sorry, give me 1 second. I know fucking nothing. I know Marauder and then Ada Swindler and then I don't know shit beyond that. God, this dog shit. Okay, that makes sense why I don't recall anything. That makes sense. This looks pretty uninspired too, if I'm honest. I don't like it that much. Oh, I only know Lanavis. Yes, thank you. Actually, that's not in my notes. I'm gonna write that down, just in case I forget. Lana, whatever. Yeah, no, I know what you mean, Dr. Z. It's all good. I think it's with a. Yeah, that might be more accurate. Whatever. Yeah, like this is fine. Pretty uninspired. Not a huge fan. I'm not gonna lie. Whatever. Lawyer. Whoa, what the fuck? Holy shit, coming in clutch. I don't know why lawyer gets all this bullshit. Lawyer should just be some boring suit or tie or some shit. But hey, this is cool as fuck. This is cool. Spectator. This is also very cool. Oh, well, dragon, I guess, for the... I guess because it's the dragon pathway. This makes sense. Okay. That's very cool. I love it. That looks awesome. Like, now that I think about it, I've never seen the lawyer symbol. Yeah, it does look... Like, am I crazy? Because, like, I think that looks dope as shit. This, like... In terms of symbols, I think this is probably my favorite. I would never pick Spectator because that's not my style. I much prefer to be a DPS than a support. So like it's not my style, but fuck, dude, that looks cool as shit. Hunter, pretty good too. Not gonna lie, it's not great. It's fine. It's not great. I mean, I get the spears and stuff in the back. It's fine. Can we show what gods look like? Should we wait? Having a Sherlock Moriarty. Oh yeah, because he has a bit of a stubble now. Very nice. Very cool. Very nice. Mysterious. Very good. Statue of the Evernight Goddess. Oh my god, I believe in the Evernight Goddess. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh my god, I believe in her even more deeply. My faith is unshakable. Oh god, I can't help but make those jokes. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need someone to... Can I check these, by the way? Is that fine? Oh, these are just the gods, right? So I should be fine. Yeah. Is the Evernight Goddess? Okay. Lord of Storm. My god, that looks like a hard motherfucker. I don't like him. I don't like this. I mean, I don't like the church, rather. Sorry, the art is very cool. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the church. The sun. Holy shit. My guy looks like Saint Michael. Am I, like, does anyone else see that? Hold on. Like, do you guys see this? Stop clipping. Like, that looks... Holy shit. He looks dope as fuck. I mean, he looks basic, don't get me wrong. He's known to embody the handsomeness. Like, he looks basic, but, like, very nice. The clothes are amazing. That's so boring. Imagine your church being about studying. Ugh. God, get this out of my face. I mean, the character design and everything is fine, and the art is very cool, don't get me wrong, but the church itself, ugh, boring. I know, look at this man's cut. He got the Naruto and Boruto type cut. Like, what is this dog shit? Give him some cooler, longer, better flowy hair. Might want to look dope as fuck. By the way, hard to imagine, this guy almost one-tapped Klein in the world above the Grey Fog. The most plain-looking basic bitch ever, just one-tapped him. He was so close. The Mother Earth, very cool. That looks very nice. Looks very cute. I like it. The butterfly and all the... You know, greenery and stuff. Very good. Is the god of combat? Jesus Christ. This guy's buff as fuck. Hold on. Conan? I'm thinking of someone else. Hold on. Who am I thinking? What's the name? Oh my god, actually, hear me out. I'm sure I can find it to one on most of them. He reminds me a lot of, fuck, come on, load. He reminds me a lot of Ferrus Manus from Warhammer 40k. Like, you guys can see this, right? I mean, take off the huge armor. Look at this guy. Damn near 1-to-1. What the fuck? I can even find one for, there's also Primordial that looks like EBS. I gotta, hold on, give me 1 second, I gotta find his name. Sangu. I'm looking for, I know, yes I am. Hold on. Okay, for this, Sanguinus. Tell me, you guys see this, right? That looks great. That looks amazing. I'm sure there's no not primordials. What the fuck am I thinking of? Hold on. There's no Primarchs that are female. I can definitely find one for him too, but you guys get the point. There's no that are female, so I don't have any for these two, unfortunately. This guy's a fucking loser. I mean, I'm sure I can find a I'm sure there's a Studious Primarch too, but I don't know. I'm not that much into 40k, just very lightly. Yeah. Lilith described as. All right, I think we'll end it there. I think that gets us to 40k. Good lord. I think that gets us to 3 hours almost exactly, not 40k. What the fuck am I talking about? So I think we'll end it there. If Ramiro or someone else, if you get a heads up on whether Easy streaming or not, then we'll base it on that. If not, then we'll assume we're streaming later, not sooner. Just because I don't know. And Easy did say he was probably going to stream today. So Ramiro is planning on diving into 40k one day. Any advice? And don't go into spoiler chat. That notification just tagged everyone. Yeah, you're good. No worries. I don't go there. You're good. Yeah. I'm planning on. Yeah. Ramiro can probably give you more advice on 40k than I can. I'm not, I don't know much about it. But once again, thank you everyone for another fantastic stream. I'll catch y'all in a couple of hours, either in like 5 or 9, who knows. That's it. Try YouTube videos first, they help you. That is helpful. That's how I got started for sure. And I'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your day or nights.